Chapter 1186. Chaos in all directions, the universe. Blazing light was everywhere. The mysterious light in the surroundings contained vast and powerful power of laws. It was enough to dazzle anyone who looked at it, and cause them to tremble. Ling Xiao and the rest had already entered the God World passage, especially those who had reached the God realm. They could feel the vast divine Tao laws getting stronger and stronger. Although the door to the God World hadn't fully opened, using the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet to forcefully open the God World passage was equivalent to everyone experiencing ascension. Ascending from the mortal world to the God World, one would experience the baptism of the divine Tao laws and reconstruct one's body. Only by comprehending the origin of heaven and earth could one become a true god. Other than the Death Spirit King, Black Tortoise King, Ji Feishuan, and Zhu Ganglai who had attained God realm in the upper world, Ling Xiao Old Goat, Daoist Wu Liang, and Shuiwei weren't considered true gods and hadn't experienced the baptism of the divine Tao laws. But in the God World passage, the vast divine Tao laws permeated the surroundings and caused them to undergo a strange change. Using the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet to open the God World passage is equivalent to opening a crack in the divine Tao laws. The surrounding divine Tao laws are a great opportunity. Everyone must work hard to comprehend it. This is your only chance, so you must grasp it. Black Tortoise King and Death Spirit King said to Ling Xiao and the rest. It was like a leaf blocking one's eyes, unable to see Mount Tai. Being in the world, it was naturally difficult to see the whole picture of the world. Now that they were in the passageway to the divine world, it was as though they had jumped out of the divine world and were observing the workings of the divine world. Not to mention Ling Xiao, who had just become a god. This was a great opportunity for the Black Tortoise King and the Death Spirit King. The passage to the God World had opened, and it was an irreversible process. Soon, they would enter the God World. Everyone sat cross-legged on the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet and began to comprehend the surrounding divine Tao laws. Rumble. Those divine Tao laws shone with dazzling radiance. Numerous auras rose like divine chains of order, forming various mysterious phenomena. Ling Xiao could faintly feel that a vast and majestic world was about to descend, causing him to experience a baptism from the inside out. Boom. Ling Xiao subconsciously began to circulate the heaven-devouring secret technique. The heaven-devouring divine sea faintly appeared behind Ling Xiao, and the surrounding divine Tao laws began to be devoured and refined by Ling Xiao. After condensing the heaven-devouring divine sea, his devouring power had almost reached the level of being illusory. Whether it was the spiritual qi of the world visible to the naked eye, the boundless energy, or the power of laws that was like nothingness that could not be touched, they could all be devoured by the heaven-devouring divine sea. Strands of the power of laws fused into Ling Xiao's body, causing him to undergo an extremely strange change. After his body became a god, it already had the potential to be invulnerable to all laws. However, after fusing with those divine laws, it made his body even more translucent and extremely sturdy. His nascent spirit also became clearer, and the divine power in his body also seemed to have undergone a baptism. Especially Ling Xiao's small world. It was as if some kind of flaw had been fixed, and it was beginning to become complete. The four realms of the divine Tao, Deity, True Deity, Celestial Deity, and Deity King. It was to continuously comprehend the divine laws and perfect the small world within the body. A change from being illusory to being real. The stronger the divine laws comprehended, the stronger the small world, and naturally, the stronger one's strength. God realm experts could create things from nothing in their small worlds, reverse yin and yang, and possess all kinds of mysterious and unfathomable power. However, that was only illusory power, and it was unable to affect reality. Only the small world of a God realm expert truly possessed the foundation of the great Tao, comprehended the source of heaven and earth, and walked out a path that belonged to one's own. Only then could one turn illusory into reality, and possess some kind of power of law. However, at that time, the world would naturally be complete, and the foundation of the Saint Tao would be formed. Ling Xiao was only at the early stage of the divine spirit realm now, so he naturally did not have such powerful strength. However, he had already thought of the path he wanted to take. Therefore, The heaven-devouring divine sea devouring the divine laws was the process of Ling Zhao's small world evolving. At the same time, Ling Zhao's entire body was undergoing some kind of change, as if he was starting to be recognized by the divine laws, and became a living being of the God realm. It was not just Ling Zhao, the same changes were happening to the others as well. However, right at this moment, an unexpected change occurred. Rumble. The vast divine laws seemed to be in disorder, and a terrifying divine light storm swept out in all directions, containing a power fluctuation that could destroy everything. A monstrous giant hand, surrounded by black divine light, broke through the void and grabbed towards the crowd. At the same time, there was also an ancient lightning pool that contained a mysterious and terrifying lightning glow. Together with the huge hand, it enveloped the crowd. This change was out of everyone's expectations, and it caused everyone's expression to change drastically. Oh no! King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit's expressions changed, and they revealed an extremely solemn expression. Rumble. The void in all directions trembled, and King Death Spirit instantly rushed up into the sky. His palms swept across the sky, and the forchi around him rose up. Endless divine laws seemed to be attracted by him, and he faced the giant hand in the sky. King Black Tortoise let out an ancient and boundless roar, and the light around his body was dazzling. In this void he turned into a divine beast, the Black Tortoise, which was a tortoise and a snake coiled together. The ancient and terrifying divine power was unparalleled, and it shrouded the void in all directions, and it suddenly crashed towards the lightning pool. Boom! King Death Spirit collided with the giant hand, and an endless amount of deathly chi exploded. With a muffled groan, King Death Spirit was instantly sent flying by the palm. King Black Tortoise crashed into the lightning pool, and it stirred up billions of lightning, causing the void in all directions to tremble violently. However, the lightning pool seemed to contain an extremely terrifying power, and it actually wanted to suck King Black Tortoise into it. King Black Tortoise roared, and there seemed to be a sea of black divine light emerging behind him, and it suddenly blocked the billions of lightning bolts in all directions. The sudden change shocked everyone. This is a giant from the realm of the gods has made a move? Damn it! Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. How could he not feel that the attack that broke through the divine laws was definitely from a giant from the realm of the gods? Ling Zhao thought of the descent of the 6 gods, and the avatar of the Thunder King that was killed by King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit, and his heart became heavy. It seemed that the attractiveness of the wordless heavenly book to those supreme gods was far beyond Ling Zhao's imagination. Rumble. The battle between King Death Spirit and King Black Tortoise, the giant hand, and the lightning pool was extremely terrifying. At the same time, a few more giant hands stretched out from the void, and they contained an immortal and terrifying light, and they suddenly grabbed towards the 9 primal chaos tablets. Block for me. Chapter 1187. The passage to the divine realm was formed by the 9 heavenly Tao primal chaos tablets. If the heavenly Tao primal chaos tablets were destroyed, the passage to the divine realm would be destroyed as well. By then, they would be teleported to an endless void. Bang! Just like a heavenly drum, a towering giant hand slammed onto the 9 heaven Tao primal chaos tablets, causing them to tremble violently. Ling Zhao felt as though he was struck by lightning as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly became extremely weak. Young master, are you all right? Shuiwei's eyes were filled with anxiety as she hurriedly helped Ling Zhao up. Damn it! These bastards from the divine realm. Let's fight it out with them. The old goat and the white dragon horse were both enraged. Their eyes were filled with anger as they roared. The 9 heavenly Tao primal chaos tablets trembled violently as the passage to the divine realm became chaotic. It could shatter at any time. The giant hands seemed to only want to capture them alive. Hence, they did not explode with too much power. Otherwise, all of them would have been killed in one hit. Hold on a little longer. We will reach the divine realm soon. King Xuanwu roared. Above everyone's head, there was a dazzling light. Rays of divine light lingered, as if a vast world had appeared. Rumble. At this moment, another 2 giant hands slammed down. It was like an immemorial divine mountain that contained an incomparably terrifying power. Qiubai's eyes flashed as a sword intent that could annihilate everything surged into the sky. That was the destruction sword Dao. It was vast and majestic like an endless river in the void as it slashed towards the two giant hands. Bang! Qiubai's strength was incomparably terrifying. The destruction sword Dao was invincible. The two palm prints were destroyed by Qiubai in an instant. However, Qiubai's face turned pale instantly. At this moment, a black palm print slammed down from the sky. Qiubai no longer had the strength to attack. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a crazed look as the essence blood in his body started to burn. An immense amount of energy was channeled into the 9 primal chaos tablets, forming an incomparably sturdy enchantment. Gotcha. However, the power of that palm was too terrifying. Even though Ling Xiao had already begun to fight with all his might, he was still incomparably weak in front of that palm. Only a crisp sound could be heard, and the huge barrier suddenly broke apart. The 9 heavenly Dao primal chaos tablets trembled violently before turning into a stream of light that shot into Ling Xiao's forehead. No! Ling Xiao roared, and his eyes instantly turned blood red. Without the passage to the divine realm, Shuiwei, the white dragon horse, Qiubai, and the others were swept away by the chaotic laws of the divine laws. At the same time, those powerful existences seemed to have noticed Ling Xiao, and they all stretched out their hands to grab him. At this moment, Ling Xiao was on the verge of going crazy. His killing intent soared, and he wanted to activate the power of the wordless heavenly book at all costs. Just then, a dazzling divine light bloomed in front of Ling Xiao. It was a white-robed figure. He stood in front of Ling Xiao like an unshakable god of war. He slammed out a palm print, causing the divine light to explode. The endless laws of the divine laws were reduced to dust. The giant hands in front of Ling Xiao were also destroyed by him. Senior Emperor? Help me save Shuiwei and the others. Ling Xiao looked at the figure in front of him. His body trembled as he revealed an extremely excited expression. Ling Xiao, I'll send you to the divine realm first. As for the others, they won't be in danger. The one in danger is you. Leave now. The Emperor said indifferently as his eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. Boom. He lifted Ling Xiao with his palm, and a rainbow bridge that spanned billions of miles seemed to appear in the endless void. He instantly sent Ling Xiao onto the rainbow bridge, flying towards the vast world above the 9 heavens at an extremely fast speed. It's you. Behind Ling Xiao, a few old and indifferent voices could be heard. They were filled with rage as they charged towards the Emperor at the same time. Rumble. The Emperor's body was surrounded by endless divine light. In his eyes, there seemed to be a sword light that could split the heavens and earth. Vast and terrifying waves of energy instantly enveloped those figures. Facing those terrifying waves of energy behind him, Ling Xiao felt as though he was a small boat sailing in the endless sea. It was as though the boat could capsize at any time. At this moment he felt a deep sense of helplessness. I need strength. Strength. One day, everyone who attacked me today, I will pay them back one by one. Ling Xiao clenched his fists. His face was as pale as paper but his eyes were extremely cold. Ling Xiao guessed that those existences were most likely here for the wordless heavenly book on him. Pooh. Ling Xiao was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Previously, in order to activate the heavenly Dao primal chaos tablet, he forcefully endured those 2 attacks. This caused Ling Xiao to suffer irreversible injuries. Hence, he fainted instantly and lost consciousness. War God World. In an incomparably vast river, there were countless broken stars floating around. An endless amount of chaotic energy filled the air. It made one feel as though they had arrived at the end of the world. On one of the stars, Zhao Ritian was riding on the void golden eyes beast. He looked dignified and elegant. Looking at the long river that seemed to lead to chaos, his eyes revealed a trace of doubt. Second uncle, can the universe river really lead to the divine world? Zhao Ritian originally wanted to find Ling Xiao and head to the divine world with him. However, he was stopped by the second uncle. Instead, the second uncle brought him to the depths of the universe river. However, Zhao Ritian did not think that the universe river could lead to the divine world. Listen to the second uncle. It definitely won't be wrong. The universe river was formed after the primordial heavenly river shattered. Although it can't lead to the divine world directly, it can lead to the heavenly river through the primordial heavenly river. From there you can find the path to the divine world. Let me tell you, those bastards from the divine world are all ruthless people. Do you really think that they would let go of the wordless heavenly book and Ling Xiao so easily? I'm afraid that Ling Xiao has already been intercepted by those bastards. The second uncle chuckled. What? Ling Xiao will be intercepted? Why didn't you say so earlier? Zhao Ritian was a little anxious. Although he had always been unconvinced by Ling Xiao and wanted to compete with him, he had never thought of taking Ling Xiao's life. In fact, he even admired Ling Xiao from the bottom of his heart. I've only just recovered some of my memories recently. You can't blame me for this. Moreover, Ling Xiao must be the successor of the Scarlet Dragon War God. He should be able to turn misfortune into fortune. Otherwise, he wouldn't be worthy of inheriting the wordless heavenly book. Don't worry about him. Hurry up and leave. If you want to reach the divine world, even if you walk the path of the heavenly river, you won't be able to reach it without at least a year and a half. The second uncle snorted coldly. I hope so. Chapter 1188. Swoosh. The void golden-eyed beast swung its limbs and turned into a ray of golden divine light. It broke through the endless void and flew towards the depths of the universe river. The vast realm of gods, I Zhao Ritian, am coming. In the Changsun sect. How did Luo Luo go missing? Go and look for her. You must find her for me. Long Hanyan looked at Long Outyin and the rest in front of her, and her eyes were filled with anxiety. Ever since Ling Xiao stepped on Heaven Road and ascended to the realm of gods, Long Hanyan and Ling Zhen did not even have time to heave a sigh of relief when they heard the news of Luo Luo's disappearance. Long Hanyan instantly became anxious. After Ling Xiao left, Long Hanyan had already treated Luo Luo as her own daughter. However, she did not expect Luo Luo to go missing. Aunt, don't worry. Even if I have to turn the entire God of War world upside down, I will definitely find Luo Luo. Long Outyin said firmly. Luo Luo's disappearance made Long Outyin jump up and down. He had already treated Luo Luo as his future wife. He did not expect her to go missing in front of everyone in the Changsun sect. How could he tolerate this? After he reported to Long Hanyan, he immediately started to lead the disciples of the Changsun sect to search for Luo Luo's whereabouts. At this moment, in a piece of chaotic void, ghost soldiers with powerful auras opened up a path. They were wearing ancient and worn-out armor, and holding powerful weapons in their hands as they headed towards the endless chaotic void. Behind the ghost soldiers were huge bone dragons and bone phoenixes. They were pulling a huge ancient bronze coffin that was emitting an ancient and boundless aura. The surroundings seemed to be filled with the chanting of ancient people. There were energy fluctuations from the origin of heaven and earth. There were even ancient runes that shrouded the area. For some unknown reason, the lid of the ancient bronze coffin was half open. One could vaguely see that there was a beautiful little girl lying in the ancient bronze coffin. She looked very beautiful, but her face was extremely pale. This little girl was Luo Luo. Suddenly, she opened her eyes. The chaotic mist around her vibrated, and the bone dragons and bone phoenixes let out a soft roar. Luo Luo's eyes revealed a strange smile. This was a vast and unfamiliar world. The mountain range rose and fell continuously. Numerous enormous divine mountains rose steeply from the ground and towered into the clouds. Even the smallest mountain peak was tens of thousands of meters tall. There were even mountains that were tens of thousands of meters tall. They were majestic, vast and ancient, and emitted a desolate aura. Towering ancient trees stood in great numbers, and ancient vines and precious herbs could be seen everywhere. Above the distant cliff, clouds and mist lingered, and a waterfall cascaded down like a heavenly river. The deep pool below was quiet and secluded, as if it contained a true dragon. Between the mountains, dazzling divine light lingered and mist permeated the air. Dense divine energy nourished the mountains, rivers, and all living beings. Some places even directly turned into divine mist that lingered between heaven and earth. Some turned into divine liquid that flowed within the mountain range. When Ling Xiao opened his eyes, he saw a world like this. Is this the God realm? Ling Xiao struggled to sit up, his eyes filled with shock and surprise. The sky in all directions was high and far. Ling Xiao could feel that this was a vast mountain range. He couldn't see the end, and he didn't know how many millions of miles it was. The sun in the sky actually contained blazing fire and flowing gold. It was dazzling and emitted an incomparably terrifying fluctuation. Some kind of mysterious Taoist rhythm flowed around it. Compared to the sun here, the sun in the God of War world was like a firefly to the bright moon. They couldn't be compared at all. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt that this place was filled with divine energy. The mountain rocks, grass, and trees were incomparably sturdy. It was as if an incomparably vast law had descended. If this wasn't the God realm, where else could it be? I wonder where Shuiwei, the old goat, and the others went. However, with the help of the Sovereign Emperor Senior, they should be safe and sound. The most important thing now is to heal my injuries. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. He was heavily injured twice by the big shots of the upper realm in the God realm's passageway. Now his physical body was destroyed, his divine energy was exhausted, and his primordial spirit had also become extremely dim. At this moment, Ling Xiao's injuries were extremely bad. He didn't even have a tenth of his strength left. The God realm was filled with dangers. The void law was incomparably powerful. Even supreme being experts couldn't fly. Only those who had broken through to the divine spirit realm could fly. In the God realm, those below the divine spirit realm were considered weaklings. They could only be trampled on by others. Only those who had cultivated to the divine spirit realm could have some ability to protect themselves. After all, the God realm was the residence of the big shots. The God realm had 33 heavens. It was vast and boundless. The God of War world probably wasn't as vast as a divine country in the God realm. Other than healing his injuries, the most important thing now was to find out which heavenly region this place belonged to. Among the 33 heavens of the God realm, the War God Temple was located in the Grand Heaven region. If he followed the normal route and opened the passageway to the God realm, he should be able to reach the Grand Heaven region from the War God Temple. However, because he was ambushed on the way, Ling Xiao was sent to the God realm by the Sovereign Emperor. As for whether this place was still the Grand Heaven region, it was hard to say. Every heavenly region in the God realm was incomparably vast. It was unknown how many trillions of li it was. It was said that even if a divine spirit flew for hundreds of years, he might not be able to cross a single heavenly region. Boom. Ling Xiao directly sat down on the ground and quietly circulated the heaven-devouring secret skill. His entire body seemed to have turned into a vast devouring vortex. He began to devour the divine spiritual qi in the mountain range silently. A majestic and pure energy surged into Ling Xiao's body and began to nourish his body and meridians. Ling Xiao did not fully circulate the heaven-devouring secret skill. Otherwise, all the divine spiritual qi within a radius of 10,000 li would rush towards him. After all, he had just arrived in the God realm. It was better to keep a low profile. If the big shots of the God realm were to investigate this place, it would be a big joke. This mountain range was deserted and very quiet. No one came to disturb Ling Xiao's cultivation. Thus, Ling Xiao was able to cultivate here with peace of mind. After an unknown amount of time, when Ling Xiao felt that the godly spiritual energy had little effect on him, his injuries were already under control. However, his injuries were too severe. If he wanted to fully recover, he would need to slowly recuperate and obtain some heavenly treasures. Rumble. At this moment, the mountain range trembled. The ancient trees in the distance collapsed and the vegetation swayed. Moreover, a strong demonic aura came over. Roar. A muffled roar was heard. A giant beast leaped out from the forest in the distance. Its entire body was covered in white scales. It exuded the aura of the divine Tao. It looked like a tiger. It had long fangs and a pair of scarlet eyes. White jade armored tiger. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He immediately recognized the origin of this demonic beast. The white jade armored tiger was one of the more common demonic beasts in the God realm. It was a wild species in the legends. It had the bloodline of the white tiger sacred beast. Its scales could be refined into divine weapons. Its physical body was incomparably strong. It was difficult for ordinary divine spirits to deal with it. The white jade armored tiger in front of him had obviously reached the divine spirit realm. Chapter 1189. Roar. The white jade armored tiger roared angrily as a murderous aura rose from its body. A black arrow covered with mysterious runes had pierced through its abdomen, leaving a huge bloody hole that was still bleeding profusely. It was obvious that it had been severely injured. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, a group of figures with powerful auras jumped out from the dense forest, following the white jade armored tiger closely. They were armed with swords and bows and exuded a valiant aura. It was a group of young men and women. The men were dressed in animal skins and looked strong and sturdy. The women were dressed in hemp skirts and had no makeup on, but they were very delicate and pretty. They were all in the Supreme Being realm, and their eyes were filled with excitement. The leader was an old man dressed in hemp clothes. His hair and beard were all white and his face was full of wrinkles. His turbid eyes shone faintly. The old man in hemp clothes was in the 10th level Supreme Being realm. But Ling Xiao could feel that his life was coming to an end and his divine power was drying up. He would probably never have the chance to break through to the divine spirit realm. What surprised Ling Xiao was that they were able to severely injure the white jade armored tiger with just this group of people. It was unbelievable. Ling Xiao's gaze fell on the black longbow in the old man's hands. He could feel that the black longbow was extraordinary, and it exuded a power that made his heart palpitate. These people also noticed Ling Xiao, and their eyes revealed a trace of surprise. They didn't expect that there would be someone living in the middle of the wilderness. Roar. However, before they had the chance to look at Ling Xiao, the white jade armored tiger roared angrily and charged towards Ling Xiao. The roar shook the heavens and the earth, causing the surrounding forest to tremble slightly. A powerful murderous aura filled the air as the white jade armored tiger's eyes revealed a trace of cruelty. It opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Ling Xiao. Be careful. The old man in hemp clothes' expression changed. He immediately pulled the longbow in his hand and like a full moon, a black arrow shot towards the white jade armored tiger's head like a shooting star. However, the old man in hemp clothes didn't have much hope. They had suffered a lot in order to catch the white jade armored tiger. The white jade armored tiger was very alert, and it would be difficult for the arrow to hit it. If the arrow missed, the young man in white would be in real danger. Scram. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spat out a single word. Instantly, a strange wave of energy followed Ling Xiao's voice and surged into the white jade armored tiger's sea of consciousness. It was like a thunderbolt exploding in his sea of consciousness, turning into a monstrous roar. Roar. That was the true white tiger divine roar, comparable to the dragon clan's 8 notes of the heavenly dragon. It contained an incomparably terrifying sound attack power. Ling Xiao did not want to cause too much of an impact, so he only used the sound waves to enter the white jade armored tiger's sea of consciousness and explode. Therefore, the old man in linen clothes and the others did not notice anything. The white jade armored tiger trembled. The power of the white tiger's divine roar almost made it wet its pants. It was a descendant of the white tiger sacred beast, and the blood of the white tiger sacred beast flowed through its veins. The white tiger sacred beast's roar was almost powerless against it. Rumble. The primordial spirit in the white jade armored tiger's sea of consciousness exploded. At the same time, the black arrow pierced through its head. The white jade armored tiger's eyes were filled with terror. Its huge body suddenly fell to the ground, causing the earth to shake violently. Grandpa Patriarch is so powerful. Ha ha ha. The white jade armored tiger is finally dead. With the white jade armored tiger, the divine blood of the 4 spirits can be considered collected. When the time comes, Sister will definitely be able to break through to the divine spirit realm. Grandpa Patriarch is so mighty. The group of young men and women were incomparably simple. They immediately began to cheer, and their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. However, the old man in linen clothes was slightly puzzled. Although his arrow was very powerful, it should not have been so easy to hit the white jade armored tiger's head. Even he did not expect that the white jade armored tiger would be killed in one shot. Could it be that he made a move? The old man in linen clothes looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, but then he shook his head. He could feel that Ling Xiao had not condensed a godhead at all. Moreover, his aura was weak, as if he was injured. He had not even reached the divine spirit realm, so how could he possibly kill the white jade armored tiger? In the divine world, after breaking through to the divine spirit realm, one would fuse the divine Tao law with one's body and condense a godhead. Therefore, every divine spirit, as long as they did not deliberately hide their cultivation, was like a bright pearl that could be easily discovered by others. Although Ling Xiao had broken through to the triple god realm, he had not condensed a godhead. Speaking of which, he was not a true divine spirit. In addition, he was severely injured and had concealed his aura. It was also something that he hoped that the old man in linen clothes would misunderstand. "Thank you for saving me, old man." Ling Xiao stood up and cupped his hands at the old man in linen clothes with a smile. Just now, when the white jade armored tiger attacked him, not only did the old man in linen clothes warn him, but he also saved him. Although Ling Xiao did not need it, it still made him have a good impression of him. "Little friend, you are too polite. May I know why you are in the Grand Emperor mountain range?" The old man in linen clothes revealed a hint of curiosity in his eyes. The young men and women began to walk up and take out containers to collect the white jade armored tiger's blood essence. They also removed the white jade armored tiger's scales and began to decompose them. To them, the white jade armored tiger's entire body was a treasure. It was enough for everyone in the tribe to obtain great benefits. At the same time, they looked at Ling Xiao curiously. Although the white-clothed young man in front of them did not seem to have a strong aura, his white clothes were whiter than snow. His temperament was extraordinary, and his eyes were bright and dazzling. He was extraordinarily handsome. A few of the young ladies could not help but blush when they looked at Ling Xiao. "I am Xiaoling. I came here unintentionally, because I was being chased by my enemies. Is this the Grand Emperor mountain range? Is this the Grand Emperor mountain range of the Grand Emperor celestial domain?" Ling Xiao said slowly. At the same time his eyes flashed. The Grand Emperor mountain range was a mountain range between the Grand Emperor celestial domain and the Grand Heaven domain. It stretched for tens of millions of miles. It was very vast and uninhabited. There were many powerful wild variants in it. If this was really the Grand Emperor celestial domain, Ling Xiao felt more at ease. After all, the Grand Emperor celestial domain and the Grand Heaven domain were neighbors. If Ling Xiao wanted to go to the Grand Heaven domain, he would not need to spend too much time. There were 33 heavens in the divine world. Each heaven domain had a radius of tens of millions of miles. It was incomparably vast. There were even people who could not leave a heaven domain in their lifetime. The War God Temple was in the Grand Heaven domain. Previously, Ling Xiao was afraid that he was too far away. If he ran to the other heavens, it would be a big problem. Chapter 1190. Little friend Xiao is right. This is indeed the Grand Emperor mountain range of the Supreme Emperor celestial domain. Could it be that little friend Xiao isn't from the Supreme Emperor celestial domain? The old man's body trembled slightly as his eyes lit up. The Supreme Emperor celestial domain was vast and boundless. Even divine spirit realm experts would find it difficult to leave the celestial domain. It was rumored that only divine king realm experts would leave the celestial domain to travel to other places. If Ling Xiao wasn't from the Supreme Emperor celestial domain, then his background must be extraordinary. "I am from the Supreme Emperor celestial domain's Tianshuang city. I followed my elders to train in the Grand Emperor mountain range. However, I encountered an enemy and ended up here," Ling Xiao said calmly. Although the Grand Emperor mountain range was vast, people from the two celestial domains would often travel there. Tianshuang City was an important city at the border of the Supreme Emperor celestial domain. Many people from the Supreme Emperor celestial domain knew about it. "So it's a distinguished guest from Tianshuang City. I am Fengji, the patriarch of the Wind Spirit tribe. Since little friend Xiao is injured, why don't you return to the Wind Spirit tribe with me to recuperate?" When the old man heard about Tianshuang City, his eyes were filled with respect as he spoke to Ling Xiao enthusiastically. "If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you," Ling Xiao said with a smile. In the divine realm, every heaven domain had countless cities, and only experts of the divine spirit realm were able to guard the cities. Many of the living beings below the divine spirit realm lived in tribes. Even the patriarch, Fengji, was only at the 10th level of the Supreme Realm. It could be seen that the Wind Spirit tribe was just a small force. However, Ling Xiao only wanted to find a place to rest and recuperate before asking about the situation. Therefore, he didn't care about this. Moreover, Fengji gave him a good impression. Next, Fengji led Ling Xiao and the group of young men and women happily carried the huge white jade armored tiger and left the mountain range. They headed towards the Wind Spirit tribe. Along the way, Fengji was very polite to Ling Xiao. Tianshuang City was a huge city and was very famous in the entire Supreme Emperor Celestial Domain. Obviously, Fengji had heard of it and treated Ling Xiao as a disciple of a big family. Ling Xiao also knew about the situation of the Wind Spirit tribe. It turned out that the Wind Spirit tribe was under the rule of Dazzling Gold City. However, other than the Great Priest, who was a Divine Spirit Realm expert, no one else in the tribe had reached the Divine Spirit Realm. The High Priestess was nearing the end of her lifespan, and the Wind Spirit tribe was in imminent danger. The entire tribe wanted to nurture a new Divine Spirit Realm expert. But for a small tribe like the Wind Spirit tribe, wanting to nurture a Divine Spirit Realm expert was easier said than done. Fortunately, a peerless genius had appeared in the Wind Spirit tribe. She had the Wind Spirit body and was the High Priest's disciple, Fengya. Under the full nurturing of the High Priest, Fengling had already reached the 10th level of the Supreme Realm before the age of 30. The High Priestess had obtained a secret method to establish a god base and become a god. It required the blood of the 4 divine beasts to push Wind Spirit into the God Spirit realm. It would also awaken her Wind Spirit body completely. Over the years, they had collected the essence blood of the Golden Spirit Turtle, the Black Soaring Dragon, and the Flame Bird. Now they were only missing the White Jade Armored Tiger. So after killing the White Jade Armored Tiger, those young men and women were so excited. Since little friend Xiao is from Tianshuang City, you should have heard of the Great Void Trial, right? Fengji looked at Ling Xiao and smiled. Great Void Trial? It's starting again? Ling Xiao's eyes shook, and he became slightly excited. He had obtained the memories and experience of the Scarlet Dragon War God. So how could he not know about the Great Void Trial? The so-called Great Void Trial was a trial held by the 5 great academies of the Grand Heaven region. As long as one could pass the Great Void Trial, they would be accepted by the 5 great academies and become their disciples. The 5 great academies of the Grand Heaven region were extremely famous. Legend had it that they had even nurtured saints. Ares Academy, Grand Academy, Overlord Academy, Sword God Academy, and Zhou Academy. Behind these 5 great academies were the War God Temple, Grand Dao Palace, Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom, Sky Sword Divine Kingdom, and Great Zhou Divine Kingdom. Especially the War God Temple and Grand Dao Palace. They were supreme holy lands that were famous in the entire divine world. As long as one passed the Great Void Trial and entered the 5 great academies, they would have the chance to enter the 5 great holy lands and divine kingdoms in the future. This was an opportunity for everyone to reach the heavens in a single step. However, the Great Void Trial required one to be at least in the Supreme Realm to participate, and it was limited to those below the True God Realm. However, to pass the Great Void Trial, one would need to be at least in the Divine Spirit Realm. Ling Xiao was still worrying about how to enter Ares Academy, but he did not expect to be in time for the Great Void Trial. That's right. The Great Void Trial will start in 3 months, so we are in a hurry to collect the divine blood of the 4 spirits to help Fengya break through to the Divine Spirit Realm. Little friend Xiao, are you also going to participate in the Great Void Trial? Fengji smiled and looked at Ling Xiao. Maybe I will give it a try. Ling Xiao nodded and said. He understood what Fengji meant. If Fengya wanted to pass the Great Void Trial, she had to at least break through to the Divine Spirit Realm to have absolute confidence. After all, the Great Void Trial was in a Great Void Mystic Realm, and it was filled with danger. Ordinary people would probably die easily if they entered. In the past Great Void Trial, those who could make it to the end and enter the 5 great academies were less than 1 in 100. Soon Ling Xiao followed Fengji and the rest to the Wind Spirit Tribe. The Wind Spirit Tribe did not look big, and was built in a valley. There were only a few tens of thousands of people, and most of them were below the Supreme Realm. Indeed, as Fengji said, Ling Xiao only felt a figure with one foot in the grave. His cultivation had reached the divine spirit realm, and that should be the high priest of the wind spirit tribe. Grandpa Patriarch is back. Wow, what a huge white jade armored tiger. We have finally gathered the divine blood of the four spirits. Aha. Sister Fengya is going to break through? The return of Feng Ji and the rest immediately caused the entire wind spirit tribe to boil. Many of the tribe members were extremely excited, and they all walked out of the tribe to welcome Feng Ji and the rest. Among the crowd, there was a woman in hemp clothes with black hair that cascaded down like a waterfall. She did not seem to be wearing any makeup, and she was elegant and refined. She gave off a calm and gentle feeling, and her cultivation had already reached the peak of the 10th level supreme realm. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt a strange aura on her body. It was like a gentle wind, ethereal and otherworldly, as if she could fly away at any time. Fengya, this is the white jade armored tiger's blood essence. The divine blood of the four spirits has been gathered. Is the high priest ready? Chapter 1191. Thank you for your hard work, Grandpa Patriarch. The high priest is ready. I'll go into seclusion to cultivate tomorrow. Fengya smiled gently. At the same time, she looked curiously at Ling Xiao, who was beside Feng Ji. Ling Xiao's temperament was too outstanding. Even though Ling Xiao suppressed his cultivation, his temperament was still different from the people of the wind spirit tribe. He was like a light in the dark, and it was hard for people not to notice him. Fengya, let me introduce you. This is Xiaoling from the Tianshuang city of the Grand Heavens region. Feng Ji saw that Fengya had noticed Ling Xiao and quickly introduced him with a smile. Grand Heavens region? Tianshuang city? These words were not only Fengya's, but also made many people of the wind spirit tribe tremble. Even though everyone knew that the Grand Imperial Mountain Range was the border between the Grand Imperial Heavens region and the Grand Heavens region, it was still tens of millions of miles wide. Even if a divine spirit realm expert could fly, it would take several years to cross this area. Greetings, Brother Xiao. There was a hint of surprise in Fengya's eyes, but she didn't ask any questions. Instead, she said with a gentle smile, Miss Feng, you're too polite. I'll have to stay here for a few days. Thank you for your hard work. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Little friend Xiao is the one who's really polite. It's our wind spirit tribe's honor that you can come to our wind spirit tribe. Fengya, why aren't you bringing little friend Xiao to stay? You youngsters should get to know each other better. Feng Ji chuckled as he winked at Fengya. He was a little disrespectful as an old man, and Ling Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yes, Patriarch. Fengya's face turned red. Even though she was very shy, she understood Feng Ji's meaning. She bowed to Ling Xiao and said, Brother Xiao, please follow me. Thank you. Ling Xiao smiled and followed Fengya into the wind spirit tribe. Ling Xiao also noticed that the eyes of the young people of the wind spirit tribe were filled with hostility. It was as if they were unhappy that Ling Xiao was getting close to Fengya. However, before they could complain, they were chased away by Feng Ji. Fengya brought Ling Xiao to a clean courtyard and left after instructing a few members of the wind spirit tribe to take care of Ling Xiao. The blood essence of the four spirits had been gathered, and Fengya still had to prepare for the next day's cultivation. The entire wind spirit tribe began to get busy. For the wind spirit tribe, this was a huge matter. In the realm of the gods, if a tribe did not even have a god, it would be impossible to protect the tribe's survival. In the end, the tribe's fate would be extremely miserable, and they could only become the slaves of other tribes. Ever since the news that the high priest was nearing the end of his lifespan had spread, the wind spirit tribe had been on high alert. Several surrounding tribes had been eyeing the wind spirit tribe covetously. They were only waiting for the high priest's death to carve up the wind spirit tribe. Therefore, Fengya becoming a god was a matter of life and death for the entire wind spirit tribe. The Great Void Trial is about to begin. It's more important for me to recuperate first. As long as I can completely recover, I'll be able to sweep through the Great Void Trial with the battle prowess of the three gods' realm. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in his room, and his eyes shone brightly as he thought to himself. He had been severely injured in the realm of the gods' passageway, and it was mainly the injuries to his physical body and primordial spirit. His physical body was almost completely destroyed, and his primordial spirit was attached to the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet, which caused him to suffer a powerful backlash. With the power of these 6 godhoods, it's enough for me to use the nirvana of the true phoenix to undergo a great nirvana, and then completely recover from my injuries. Ling Zhao's palm shone brightly, and 6 resplendent godhoods appeared. At the same time, the engulfing god sea surged around him, completely enveloping the 6 godhoods. Other than the primordial spirit of the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace, the primordial spirits of the other 5 true gods were all given to darkness Ling Xiao, and the 6 godhoods fell into Ling Zhao's hands. Ling Zhao's primordial spirit was severely injured, and he could not even sense darkness Ling Zhao's whereabouts. He could only vaguely sense that darkness Ling Xiao had already gone to a foreign world, and there was no danger. He had to quickly recover his cultivation. Otherwise, if his primordial spirit was injured for a long time, it would be troublesome if darkness Ling Xiao attacked his body. Ling Xiao informed the tribesmen of the Wind Spirit tribe outside the room, and asked them to inform Fengji that he was going into seclusion. Then he set up a powerful array in the room, and began his seclusion. The 6 resplendent godhoods contained majestic energy fluctuations. As for the primordial spirits within them, they had been completely destroyed, and only 6 energy crystals were left. Nirvana of the true phoenix break. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes as he shouted, "Rumble!" Behind him, a sea of fire rose, and a resplendent light spread out. A 5-colored phoenix was formed, and it looked lifelike and incomparably mysterious. Although the nirvana of the true phoenix could allow Ling Xiao to undergo nirvana, it would consume his life source. Now that he had 6 godhoods, it was enough for the nirvana of the true phoenix, and Ling Xiao naturally would not choose to consume his life source. The 6 godhoods were entangled by the flames of the 5-colored phoenix, and they melted in an instant, turning into the most sparkling and resplendent liquid. Ling Zhao's body was surrounded by resplendent light. Clouds rose and auspicious air rose. Like divine chains of order, they entangled him. Boom! The divine fire of the true phoenix enveloped Ling Zhao's body in an instant, and it began to burn fiercely. The nirvana of the true phoenix was the creation after destruction, and it was the rebirth of the ultimate destruction. It contained incomparably mysterious laws of power, and it could allow Ling Xiao to be completely reborn and recover all his injuries. However, when Ling Xiao circulated the nirvana of the true phoenix, he immediately felt different. The nirvana of the true phoenix was a truly great ability. In the God realm, under the influence of the vast laws of the God realm, the nirvana of the true phoenix began to erupt with truly terrifying power. Crack! A crisp sound was heard, and Ling Zhao's bones actually shattered at this moment. Ling Zhao's body trembled slightly, but his expression was incomparably calm. That kind of extreme pain seemed to have no effect on him at all. In the God realm, the laws of nature were complete, and the origin energy of heaven and earth was incomparably vast. When Ling Xiao used the nirvana of the true phoenix here, he immediately triggered the laws of the divine Tao, and began to integrate them into his body. Ling Zhao's body was like fried beans, crackling and popping. Every inch of his flesh and blood exploded, and the laws of the divine Tao were integrated into them. Although it was extremely difficult for Ling Zhao's body to become a god in the lower realm, there was a certain flaw, and that was that the laws of nature were incomplete. It could not be considered a true body to become a god, and it needed to undergo a further sublimation and transformation in the God realm. Therefore, the nirvana of the nirvana this time was a true rebirth for Ling Xiao. Not only was he healing his injuries, but he was also cultivating. His entire person was becoming more and more compatible with the laws of the God realm. And the 3 great Tao immortal flowers that appeared above his head were also absorbing the vast laws of the divine Tao. Ling Xiao recited the cultivation method of the nirvana of the true phoenix, and his body exploded inch by inch. It was as if he had exploded into a bloody mist, and his entire person had actually shattered into pieces. However, there was a mysterious force that bound his body, and it didn't completely disperse. Instead, strands of divine Tao laws began to fuse into Ling Zhao's body, divine energy and primordial spirit, causing his entire being to undergo a mysterious transformation. Chapter 1192. This was the grand nirvana. To Ling Xiao, it was a complete transformation. The divine Tao Law entered his body, making his physical body, divine power, and primordial spirit more compatible with this world. Only by going through such a transformation could Ling Xiao be considered as a creature of the divine world. Otherwise, if he encountered a mighty figure of the divine world, it would be easy for them to see through Ling Xiao's identity as an ascender. To Ling Xiao now, he had to avoid all possibilities of exposing his identity, then safely join the War God Temple, raise his cultivation, and secretly grow. Thus, the 6 godheads turned into a divine liquid, crystal clear, and flowed like nectar into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao felt that all the bones in his body were broken, and even his primordial spirit seemed to be torn apart. The pain went deep into his bones and was unbearable. An ordinary person would have fainted from the pain. Ling Xiao could feel that this was the true Phoenix Nirvana technique. From life to death, from death to life, and from death to life, experiencing a true transformation. The 5-colored True Phoenix Divine Fire was refining Ling Xiao's physical body and primordial spirit. One could see traces of black impurities flowing out, which were then refined by the True Phoenix Divine Fire. Ling Xiao's entire person became more and more transcendent, emitting an unfathomable aura. The news of Ling Xiao's seclusion reached Feng Zhi's ears. Feng Zhi didn't care, but he still sent many experts of the Wind Spirit tribe to guard Ling Xiao's courtyard, not allowing anyone to disturb him. The entire Wind Spirit tribe was mobilized, making preparations for Feng Ye's breakthrough. The next day, the first rays of the morning sun shone down, sprinkling golden light. On top of the altar in the center of the Wind Spirit tribe, there was an old man in a black robe who was walking unsteadily. He held a walking stick in his hand, and looked as if half of his body was already in the ground. His entire body was emitting an aura of death. His face was full of wrinkles like tree bark, but his eyes were incomparably deep and pure, like the vast night sky. He was the high priest of the Wind Spirit tribe, the Wind Cloud platform. There was a black ancient cauldron on the altar, with a black dragon coiling around it. Cloud seal carvings, mountains and rivers, ancient and mysterious. Below the cauldron, a golden flame was burning fiercely, enveloping the entire cauldron. No one knew how long it had been burning. The ancient cauldron exuded a dense aura, and the true dragons on it seemed to have come alive. They looked very lifelike, and the entire ancient cauldron had an extraordinary aura. Feng Ye sat cross-legged beside the ancient cauldron. She looked gentle and elegant, exuding a wave of spirituality. She lowered her head and smiled. The golden rays of dawn shone on her body, making her seem like some kind of divine being. No one dared to look at her directly. Besides the guards that couldn't leave their posts without permission, practically everyone in the entire Wind Spirit tribe had arrived before the altar, and their gazes were filled with nervousness and anticipation. Today was the day Feng Ye confirmed her Tao and became a deity. Everyone wanted to witness this moment. Feng Ye, are you ready? Feng Yuntai walked up the altar and looked at the ancient cauldron and Feng Ye. His turbid eyes revealed a trace of satisfaction. Feng Ye was not only the hope of the Wind Spirit tribe, but she was also the disciple he was most proud of. After breaking through to the God Spirit realm and completely condensing the Wind Spirit body, Feng Yuntai believed that Feng Ye would definitely be able to stand out in the Great Void Trial and become a disciple of the 5 Great Academies. Once Feng Ye became a disciple of the 5 Great Academies, she would be able to protect the Wind Spirit tribe. At that time, even if Feng Yuntai died, he would be able to rest in peace. Master, I'm ready. Feng Ye's eyes revealed a trace of determination. Then let's begin. Feng Yuntai nodded, and a trace of sharpness appeared in his eyes. Boom. Feng Yuntai exuded a powerful aura, and his blood chi surged. His entire person soared into the sky, and he turned into a heroic and dignified middle-aged man. His entire body exuded a powerful aura. That monstrous battle intent made everyone in the Wind Spirit tribe want to kneel down and worship him. This was Feng Yuntai, the high priest of the Wind Spirit tribe, the pillar that protected the Wind Spirit tribe. Feng Ye's beautiful eyes were red, and there was a trace of deep gratitude in her eyes. She knew that Feng Yuntai's lifespan was reaching its end, and every time he activated his blood qi, it would accelerate the consumption of his lifespan. Fengye once heard from the elders of the Wind Spirit tribe that Feng Yuntai was once the #1 genius of the Wind Spirit tribe, and he even made a name for himself in the Grand Heaven region. However, for some unknown reason, he was severely injured and returned to the Wind Spirit tribe. 4 divine spirit blood, forged the battle body. Blood qi, black yellow immortal. Feng Yuntai roared, and suddenly, a bright light shone from his palm. The blood essence of the 4 powerful divine beasts entered the black ancient cauldron, and there were also countless precious and ancient spiritual herbs. They exuded a strange fragrance and turned into a torrent. Rumble. The black ancient cauldron trembled violently. The ancient cauldron had been nourished by the earth core divine fire on this altar for dozens of years, all for this day. Beams of dazzling divine light rose up and turned into mysterious runes that enveloped the entire altar. An ancient and boundless roar resounded and shook the clouds. Above the ancient cauldron, a black true dragon soared into the sky. A crimson phoenix burned the 8 desolaces. A murderous white tiger roared for eternity, and a black tortoise with a tortoise and snake coiled together to support the 4 directions. These were the shadows of the 4 divine beasts, the invincible overlords of the ancient era. Although they might have disappeared a long time ago, their power still flowed in the blood of their descendants. The medicinal liquid inside the ancient cauldron seemed to boil and became crystal clear, emitting a strange fragrance. The blood of the 4 divine beasts and countless precious spiritual herbs fused together to form this supreme medicine. This was the accumulation of the Wind Spirit tribe for countless years, and it completely erupted at this moment. The fragrance assailed the nostrils and contained a mysterious fluctuation. Powerful universal laws seemed to descend from the void and fused into the medicinal liquid inside the ancient cauldron. The shadows of the 4 divine beasts coiled around the ancient cauldron, creating all kinds of mysterious phenomena. In the middle of the 4 divine beasts, there seemed to be an invincible peerless emperor in a green robe. His eyes were incomparably deep, and his body exuded a mysterious aura that could break through the 9 heavens. Fengye, if you don't enter now, when will you? When Feng Yuntai saw the mysterious figure in the middle of the 4 divine beasts, his body suddenly shook, and his eyes revealed a look of incomparable ecstasy. Yes. Fengye's eyes flashed, and she instantly turned into a stream of light and flew into the ancient cauldron. Rumble. Chapter 1193. Everyone could feel that Fengye's aura was getting stronger and stronger within the ancient cauldron. Boundless divine spiritual qi gathered from all directions and rushed into the ancient cauldron. Fengye needs 3 days to break through. In these 3 days, I will focus on helping Fengye break through and condense the Wind Spirit body. No one is allowed to disturb her. Lead the people of the Wind Spirit tribe to guard the surroundings. Even if you die, don't let anyone near the altar. Feng Yuntai stared at Fengye and said solemnly, "Yes, High Priestess. Even if I die, I won't let anyone disturb Fengye's breakthrough." Fengye also yelled out as a determined look appeared in his eyes. The entire Wind Spirit tribe became solemn at this moment. They all knew the importance of these 3 days. It was a matter of life and death for the entire Wind Spirit tribe. The surrounding tribes had been spying on the Wind Spirit tribe and might come to cause trouble. So no matter what, they couldn't let them disturb Fengye's breakthrough. Although the High Priestess had already set up a large array around the altar and left behind many backup plans, no one dared to relax. The entire Wind Spirit tribe began to move. The divine blood of the 4 spirits is the method to forge the supreme battle body. Even if I die, I hope Fengye can inherit my generation's will and wait for the Lord to return. Feng Yuntai's eyes were filled with anticipation. Boom. The aura around him became more and more powerful. The vast divine Tao law was guided by him and poured into the ancient cauldron from the 9 heavens. Feng Yuntai could feel that Fengye's aura was getting stronger and stronger. The power hidden in the depths of her bloodline was awakening. An ancient and vast aura spread out. Ling Xiao, who was in the middle of cultivation, suddenly felt a familiar aura. This is the aura of the undying battle body. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit trembled slightly. At the same time, he was puzzled. The undying battle body was the secret of the war god temple. It could be said that only those who inherited the undying battle body could be considered a true disciple of the war god temple. Moreover, only the disciples of the war god temple could cultivate the undying battle body. Why would the aura of the undying battle body appear in the small wind spirit tribe? Could it be that there were still disciples of the battle hall here? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Scarlet Dragon War God was the master of Battle Temple, but Battle Temple had always been suppressed. Before Scarlet Dragon War God left the divine world, Battle Temple only had 2 or 3 disciples left. Ling Xiao really wanted to go out and investigate immediately. However, his cultivation had also reached a critical moment. Boundless laws entered Ling Xiao's body, replenishing the missing power of the divine Tao. The vast blood mist began to condense into a new body. Ling Xiao's bones began to condense, emitting a golden light. Moreover, they were sparkling and translucent like colored glass. The bones reassembled one by one, like a dormant divine dragon, emitting a vast divine might. Every bone was resplendent, and the marrow within was like a small dragon flowing and interweaving with each other. It was as if a divine dragon was roaring to the heavens. The dragon's roar shook heaven and earth. It was incomparably mysterious. Then all of his bones vibrated at the same time, emitting a majestic aura of life. Golden blood was produced, flowing through his entire body. At the same time, the aura of life fused into his primordial spirit, causing his primordial spirit to become even more translucent and flawless. The small world in Ling Xiao's body was like the creation of heaven and earth. Endless divine power flowed, as vast as the sea, causing his entire body to emit a kind of divine fluctuation. The light was extremely bright and resplendent. His physical body, primordial spirit, and divine power had all reached perfection. Ling Xiao's injuries were also completely healed, and his aura became even more majestic and vast. Rumble. Essence, energy, and spirit merged into one. 3 flowers of the great Tao appeared above his head, sprinkling down the power of laws. They flowed like jade, mysterious and unfathomable. As for the 3 flowers of the great Tao, divine light gathered in each of them, surging violently in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, devouring the vast divine Tao laws. Ling Xiao felt as if his primordial spirit had left his physical body and embraced the vast divine world, leaving his own mark on the divine world. A resplendent divine core began to condense, exuding a seemingly real and inextinguishable fluctuation. Ling Xiao could feel that after condensing the divine core, it was as if as long as he willed it, he could mobilize the vast divine Tao laws and unleash all kinds of powerful magical abilities at will. This was the true divine spirit realm. The divine core was also equivalent to Ling Xiao's foundation. As long as the divine core existed, even if his physical body was destroyed and his primordial spirit shattered, he could still reform a new body. Enlightened by the gods and inspired by heaven and earth, it was called a divine spirit. And Ling Xiao's cultivation also broke through from the early stage of the divine spirit realm to the middle stage of the divine spirit realm. Is this the power of the divine spirit realm? It's really strong. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes, and 2 golden rays pierced through the void. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and slowly stood up. His entire body was filled with power, and there was a kind of tranquil and free feeling, clear and flawless. It was as if his entire person had merged into one with heaven and earth, and there was no longer the slightest sense of unfamiliarity. After completing the laws and condensing the divine core, Ling Xiao had completely become a member of the divine spirit realm. As long as he didn't say it, almost no one would be able to tell that he was an ascender. This was also because Ling Xiao had already reached the triple god realm, and now he was only condensing the divine core, so it didn't cause too much of a change. The people of the Wind Spirit tribe didn't notice it at all. The high priest of the Wind Spirit tribe is actually a disciple of the battle hall. He's actually helping Fengye condense the immortal battle body. Fortunately, they met me. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for them to survive this tribulation. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and a trace of light flashed in his eyes. It was as if he could see through the void and see the high priest, Feng Yuntai, above the altar. Sensing the aura on his body, Ling Xiao easily recognized that Feng Yuntai was a disciple of the battle hall. However, Ling Zhao's primordial spirit covered the surrounding heaven and earth. At the same time, he also discovered that outside the Wind Spirit tribe, there was a group of experts with obscure auras rapidly approaching. Surprisingly, they were led by 3 deities. Enemy attack. A sharp voice pierced through the sky above the Wind Spirit tribe, and then it abruptly stopped. Poof! A powerful black ray of light instantly cut a few guards of the Wind Spirit tribe in half. Today, Feng Yun Tai will be killed and Feng Yu will be presented to the young master. A cold and cruel voice sounded in the void. A group of figures with powerful auras instantly rushed into the Wind Spirit tribe. Red Cloud tribe, Black Tiger tribe, Spiritual Snake tribe, how dare you offend the Wind Spirit tribe? Damn it! Feng Ji's expression changed drastically, and his eyes were filled with incomparable anger. Chapter 1194. In the air, there was an old man in a red robe, a burly man in a beast's skin, and a middle-aged woman in a black dress with a voluptuous figure. In the divine world, even exalted realm experts were unable to fly in the air. Only deity realm experts were able to fly in the air. Feng Ji recognized these 3 figures. They were the High Priest of the Scarlet Cloud tribe, the High Priest of the Black Tiger tribe, Manshan, and the High Priest of the Spiritual Snake tribe, Yin Kuei. Ever since the news of the Storm platform's lifespan reaching its end was exposed, these 3 tribes had been eyeing the Wind Spirit tribe. However, due to the Storm platform's power, they didn't dare to act rashly. One had to know that the Wind Cloud platform had once fought 1 against 3 and defeated the high priests of the 3 major tribes. He was very famous in the region under dazzling Gold City. However, they didn't expect that Feng Ya's breakthrough would alarm the 3 tribes. However, Feng Ya hadn't completed her breakthrough yet. He couldn't let them affect the Storm platform and Feng Ya. Feng Ji's eyes instantly revealed a trace of determination. Feng Ji, your Wind Spirit tribe should have been destroyed long ago. If you know what's good for you, you'd better surrender now. Otherwise, if the 3 old ancestors were to unleash their wrath, your entire Wind Spirit tribe would be destroyed. A middle-aged man in a black robe stood out and sneered at Feng Ji. His cultivation had reached the 10th level of the Sovereign Realm, which was similar to Feng Ji's cultivation. Qizhen. You all deserve to die. Feng Ji's eyes turned red when he saw the middle-aged man in a black robe. Qizhen was the patriarch of the Scarlet Cloud tribe, and the Scarlet Cloud tribe was the most ruthless against the Wind Spirit tribe. Over the years, many experts of the Wind Spirit tribe had died in the hands of Qizhen. Even Feng Ji's only son had died in the hands of Qizhen. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Feng Ji's body was filled with a violent aura as he charged towards Qizhen. Whoosh! Feng Ji strode forward like a meteor. When he charged towards Qizhen, he instantly took out the black ancient bow behind him and knocked an arrow full of runes. He pulled the bowstring and shot it towards Qizhen. The arrow was like a black meteor. Its speed was extremely fast. The sound of the arrow breaking through the wind had surpassed the speed of sound, causing Qizhen's expression to change. Clang! A long black saber appeared in Qizhen's hand. It was flowing with a vast amount of divine power. Suddenly, it slashed forward. When the arrow hit the saber, an unparalleled divine power came through. Qizhen's arms shook, and the saber almost flew out of his hand. Sun-chasing divine bow. Are you even worthy of possessing such a treasure? Give it to me. Qizhen's eyes were full of greed. He shouted loudly and instantly ordered everyone to rush towards Feng Ji. The Sun Chaser Divine Bow was a legendary divine weapon. It was extremely powerful, but the bowstring had been broken long ago. It was incomplete, and its divine power had been reduced to less than 10%. Previously, when the Wind Cloud platform was still around, even if they coveted it, they didn't dare to make a move. Now that the Wind Cloud platform was on the verge of collapse, they couldn't help but jump out. You're courting death. Feng Ji's eyes were blazing with murderous intent. Instantly, 9 black arrows were placed on the bowstring and shot towards Qizhen and the others. Qizhen and the others' expressions changed as they felt a cold killing intent. They didn't even think about it, and wanted to dodge. However, 9 piercing sounds were heard. In an instant, the 9 supreme being experts of the 3 tribes were all killed by Feng Ji. with the sun-chasing divine bow in hand. Although Fengji's cultivation was only at the 10th level of the Supreme Realm, his combat strength was comparable to the Divine Spirit Realm. Otherwise, the white jade-armored tiger wouldn't have been injured by him. Presumptuous. At this moment, a cold shout was heard. High Priest Qi Yun's eyes were gloomy as he slapped his palm towards Fengji. Fengji's expression changed and a trace of seriousness appeared in his eyes. High Priest Qi Yun's strength was extremely powerful. It was said that he was close to the peak of the Divine Spirit Realm. Swoosh. He didn't dare to be careless. In an instant, a golden arrow was shot out. It contained boundless power, and it was like a dazzling rainbow that flew towards High Priest Qi Yun. Sun-shooting arrow? High Priest Qi Yun's body trembled. The sun-shooting arrow and the sun-chasing divine bow were a set of supreme divine weapons. It was said that there were 9 sun-shooting arrows. In ancient times, they could even shoot the sun. However, the sun-chasing divine bow was damaged, and there was only 1 sun-shooting arrow left. The power of this arrow was extremely terrifying. High Priest Qi Yun didn't dare to take it head-on. He slapped his palm towards the sun-shooting arrow, and at the same time he quickly retreated. Bang! The sun-shooting arrow instantly blasted High Priest Qi Yun's palm. Then it landed on a mountain in the distance, and it instantly blew up the mountain. Fengji's face instantly turned pale. If he wanted to use the sun-chasing divine bow and sun-shooting arrow, even with his cultivation, he couldn't withstand more than a few arrows. Kill. At this moment, the experts of the Wind Spirit Tribe had already engaged in a fierce battle with the people of the Red Cloud Tribe, Black Tiger Tribe and Spiritual Snake Tribe. Everyone in the Wind Spirit Tribe knew that this was a matter of life and death for the Wind Spirit Tribe. Therefore, each of them fought bravely without fear of death. They fought with all their might, and for a moment, they actually resisted the attacks of the 3 tribes. However, the 3 high priests in the void were still shrouding the hearts of everyone at this moment. Although the sun-chasing divine bow was powerful, could Fengji really withstand the attacks of the 3 supreme gods? You deserve to die. Qi Yun's face instantly became extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. A mere mortal who wasn't even a supreme god was almost an ant in the eyes of the supreme gods. How dare he hurt the great High Priest Qi Yun? This was simply unforgivable. Boom. High Priest Qi Yun's body flashed with divine light. There seemed to be a flame flowing under his feet as he rushed towards Fengji. The best way to deal with an archer was to close the distance and fight in close combat. As long as he fought in close combat, Fengji was definitely not his opponent. Whoosh. Fengji's face changed, and his eyes became extremely solemn. There were bright runes flashing on his legs. That was the divine travel talisman, a treasure given to him by the high priest on the Wind Cloud platform. It allowed him to have extreme speed for 15 minutes. Therefore, he instantly widened the distance between him and Qi Yun, and then shot another arrow. Bang! The bright arrow exploded. Although Qi Yun tried his best to dodge, there was still a trace of blood on his face. Suddenly, the killing intent in his eyes became even more intense. Bastard! When this old man catches you, I will definitely tear you into pieces. Qi Yun roared. He activated all the divine power in his body and rushed towards Qi Yun. However, Fengji became more and more calm. He constantly widened the distance between him and Qi Yun, and then attacked with the sun-chasing divine bow. High Priest Manshan and High Priest Inkue rushed towards the Wind Cloud platform on the altar at the same time. Almost none of the experts of the Wind Spirit Tribe were a match for them. Those who stood in front of them were all killed by them. Want to break through to the divine state? Dream on. Chapter 1195. So. But at that moment, the ancient altar suddenly shone brightly. Rays of divine light soared into the sky like dazzling blades, instantly enveloping Manshan and Inkue. Wind Cloud platform, I knew that you had a backup plan. However, do you think a mere saber formation can stop us? Inkue twisted her snake-like body, her eyes flickering like a venomous snake as she sneered. Although she and Manshan said they didn't care, they still retreated. Those blade lights were too terrifying. Even they felt the threat of death, and had to retreat from the blade array's range. Break for me. Murderous intent flashed in Yin Kuei's eyes as he threw out a black ball. There were black patterns on the surface of the ball, making it look mysterious and unfathomable. There were also faint black lightning flashing around the ball. It contained an incomparably terrifying destructive power. This was the baleful Yin divine lightning, which was given to her by the young master. It was to ensure that nothing would go wrong and completely destroy the wind cloud platform. This baleful Yin divine lightning was a treasure formed by gathering the baleful Yin chi of the 9 heavens, mixing it with the essence of 5 metals, and refining it in the lightning tribulation for 100 years. It was said that even true gods would be severely injured from the explosion. Seeing the terrifying blade array on the altar, Yin Kuei threw out the baleful Yin divine lightning without hesitation. At that moment, on a mountain peak 100 miles away from the Wind Spirit tribe, a handsome young man in a pink robe stood in the air with a fan in his hand. His eyes were filled with evil charm. His temperament was very feminine, and there was even a strange fragrance from his body that seemed to be able to enchant people's minds. It was very strange. Behind him stood a steel-like middle-aged man. He wore black armor and had a centipede-like scar on his face, which made him look even more ferocious. "Uncle Liu, do you think those 3 trash can kill the wind cloud platform?" The handsome young man smiled faintly, as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was asking the person behind him. The wind cloud platform is currently helping Fengya break through to the divine spirit realm. They have no time to spare, so this is the best chance to kill them. The young master has given them the baleful Yin divine lightning. If they still can't kill the wind cloud platform, then they can only blame themselves for being trash. The scarred general said coldly, without any emotion in his eyes. The people in the wind cloud platform aren't ordinary. The handsome youth leisurely said. In the past, the wind cloud platform was also a genius disciple of the war god temple. However, because he was too loyal to the war god temple's master, he was ostracized by others. In the end, he was heavily injured and his cultivation dropped to the divine spirit realm. He then hid in this small tribe for 1,000,000 years. The war god hall is too powerful. If we want to obtain his inheritance and the Sunchasur divine bow, we can't do it ourselves. We can only rely on those pieces of trash. At the mention of the war god temple, even General Scar's eyes revealed a trace of reverence. In the entire divine realm, aside from those legendary hidden emperor clans and some forces with hundreds of millions of years of inheritance in the Great Haven Law domain, the war god's temple could be said to be the top sacred ground. Legend had it that a quasi-emperor level expert had even appeared in the war god temple. However, he was unlucky and failed to control the heavenly Tao, unable to become a supreme martial emperor. However, everyone knew how powerful the war god temple was. That little girl, Fengya, actually has the wind spirit constitution. If I can pluck her red pill, it will definitely allow my cultivation to improve greatly. At that time, I will sweep through all the experts in the Great Void Trial and become the champion. When I enter the war god temple, I might be able to obtain that inheritance. The handsome youth secretly thought to himself. His eyes revealed an incomparably fiery look. But suddenly, the handsome young man's brows furrowed slightly. Who is that brat? The handsome youth and General Scar couldn't help but reveal a trace of shock in their eyes. In the Wind Spirit tribe, the baleful Yin divine lightning instantly exploded. Rumble. Blazing light shrouded the surroundings. Bolts of lightning were incomparably blazing, containing an incomparably terrifying destructive power. In an instant, the powerful saber array set up by the wind cloud platform was completely destroyed. Just as the destructive power was about to sweep towards the wind cloud platform, there was a trace of a bitter smile and despair in the wind cloud platform's eyes. In his current state, he could only resist the power of the baleful Yin divine lightning, because Fengya's breakthrough had reached the most critical moment. But suddenly, a golden palm print rose from the Wind Spirit tribe. It contained a vast and majestic power, and contained a sharpness that could devour everything. In an instant, it blocked in front of the wind cloud platform and Fengya. Boom! The power of the baleful Yin divine lightning was directly smashed by that palm. And on the altar, a handsome and elegant young man in white clothes appeared. His skin was like jade, and his vitality was majestic. He emitted a resplendent glow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were incomparably resplendent, and the corner of his mouth held a hint of a smile. He just stood on the altar and looked indifferently at Manshan and Yin Kuei. But Manshan and Yin Kuei couldn't help but tremble, as if they were being stared at by some ancient ferocious beast. Xiaoling. The people of the Wind Spirit tribe revealed an incredulous look of surprise in their eyes. They didn't expect that the guest Feng Ji brought back, Xiaoling, would be so powerful that he could shatter the baleful Yin divine lightning with a single palm. He's actually so strong. So it wasn't an illusion. Feng Ji's eyes widened in surprise, and his whole body became excited. He recalled the moment when he shot the white jade armored tiger. Now he was incomparably sure that it was Ling Xiao who made a move. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill the white jade armored tiger so easily. His body. This is the aura of the Aries art. The people on the wind cloud platform trembled. Although it was incomparably obscure, they felt the aura of the Aries art from Ling Xiao. Could this Xiaoling be a disciple of the Aries temple? Even Fengya, who was sitting cross-legged in the ancient cauldron, could feel the commotion outside. At this moment, she was naturally incomparably shocked. So he's actually a divine spirit. Kid, who are you? This is a grudge between the three tribes and the Wind Spirit tribe. If you don't want to die, hurry up and get lost. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Manshan stared at Ling Xiao, and a trace of gloominess appeared in his eyes. The power of the baleful Yin divine lightning just now was shattered by Ling Xiao, and it instantly made them a little fearful. But after sensing that Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the middle stage of the divine spirit realm, he was slightly relieved. One must know that he and Yin Kuei were at the late stage of the divine spirit realm, and Qi Yun's cultivation was at the great circle of the divine spirit realm. Even if this kid wanted to help the Wind Spirit tribe, he could easily suppress him. A bunch of useless chickens and pottery dogs dare to be impudent in front of me? Get over here and accept your death. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and he sneered coldly. He had already sensed the aura of martial arts on the Wind Cloud platform, and confirmed that Wind Cloud platform was a disciple of the Aries temple. Naturally, he wanted to kill these guys in front of him. The Aries temple's protectiveness was well known in the divine world. Ling Xiao had inherited everything from the Scarlet Dragon War god, so he was naturally incomparably clear about this point. The Aries temple's motto had always been, "Whoever hurts my fellow disciples, I'll kill their entire family." Chapter 1196. Little brother, which clan are you from? Why are you protecting these ants from the Wind Spirit tribe? Why don't you come to my Spirit Snake tribe? Big sister will serve you well. Yin Kuei twisted her delicate body, her big watery eyes were full of charm. Her figure was very hot, and her skin seemed to be able to squeeze water out of it. She kept throwing flirtatious glances at Ling Xiao. Yin Kuei's eyes were very sharp. From Ling Xiao's clothes and temperament, she could vaguely feel that Ling Xiao was not an ordinary person. That was why she was testing him, trying to find out Ling Xiao's origin. It had to be said that Yin Kuei had a natural charm. If it was an ordinary young man, no matter how strong his willpower was, he would be charmed by her. You're not qualified to serve me. Ling Xiao looked at Yin Kuei indifferently. Little brother, you're really arrogant. It seems that if I don't show you my means, you'll really look down on me. Yin Kuei's face was a little ugly. She was a small realm higher than Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao said that she was not even qualified to be a servant. This was simply a naked humiliation. Yin Kuei, why are you talking so much nonsense with this kid? How dare he interfere in the affairs of our three tribes? Just kill him. Manshan sneered. His eyes were full of cold killing intent. Boom. Divine power rose around Manshan's body, and a mace appeared in his hand. His muscles swelled like dragons, and his vitality rose. He swung the mace at Ling Xiao with all his might. Yin Kuei and Qi Yin were watching coldly from the sidelines. It was a good opportunity for Manshan to test Ling Xiao's strength. In the divine world, the godhead of a divine spirit expert can mobilize the divine Tao law and erupt with even more power. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao thought to himself, and his eyes revealed a trace of understanding. After coming to the divine world, Ling Xiao realized that in the war god's world, he could easily kill divine spirits and true gods because those divine spirits and true gods were unable to erupt with their true battle strength. In the divine world, divine spirit experts were like dragons in the sea, and their divine power was unfathomable. It was as if Man Shan's mace had smashed down. Divine power surged like a vast mountain, containing the power to suppress everything. If they were in the war god's world, the void would have shattered. However, the space in the god's world was incomparably sturdy. Not to mention gods. Even true gods and heavenly gods would find it hard to shake the power of space. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't use any martial arts, but simply threw out a punch. The golden fist print soared into the sky like a resplendent sun, exuding a vast and unparalleled fluctuation. The power of the fist was vast and vigorous. Man Shan's complexion instantly changed when he saw this punch. However, he no longer had any room to retreat. He could only grit his teeth and summon the power of the mace to smash down. Bang! The void trembled like a thunderclap. Ling Xiao stood on the altar without moving, but Man Shan was sent flying back at an even faster speed. The huge mace was actually smashed into Man Shan's body by Ling Xiao's fist. Puff! Man Shan's chest caved in, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly became extremely weak. How can you have such a powerful body? Man Shan's complexion changed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. You can't even withstand a single blow. Ling Xiao shook his head lightly, and his eyes fell on Yin Kuei. Yin Kuei's expression changed, and she immediately became alert. Her eyes were full of vigilance, and she no longer dared to tease Ling Xiao. Black divine light surged around her, and her body trembled slightly, as if she would fly away at any time. Whoosh! However, Ling Xiao still pointed his finger at Yin Kuei, and a golden sword chi shot out from his fingertip. It was invincible, and contained an incomparably terrifying fluctuation of power. Yin Kuei felt a stabbing pain between her eyebrows. The speed of the finger was extremely fast, and it arrived in front of her in an instant. Roar! Yin Kuei let out a strange roar, and her eyes instantly turned into two black vortexes, and suddenly shot out two black divine lights toward Ling Xiao's finger. At the same time, her body suddenly twisted, and she was as agile as a spirit snake. In an instant, she moved dozens of feet away, and rapidly distanced herself from Ling Xiao. At this moment, her fear of Ling Xiao had reached its peak. Technique divine ability? Interesting. But it's still too weak. Ling Xiao said lightly. The sword chi of the finger collided with the divine lights in Yin Kuei's eyes, and exploded at the same time. Ling Xiao took advantage of the situation, and directly chopped at Yin Kuei with his palm. Boom! The snow-white saber light cut through the sky, and the vast divine power was incomparably pure. It contained the attribute of invincibility, and made Yin Kuei feel as if she could not dodge it. Spirit snake escape. Yin Kuei's eyes were filled with incomparable fear. She screamed in an incomparably shrill voice, and directly bit the tip of her tongue, and suddenly spat out a mouthful of essence blood. The blood-red divine light wrapped around her, and the void around her seemed to be flowing, as if it wanted to wrap her up and quickly escape from the range of the saber light. However, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and the speed of the saber light suddenly increased, and then suddenly chopped at the layer of blood-red light on Yin Kuei's body. Bang! The spirit snake escape, Yin Kuei's innate ability, was instantly broken by Ling Xiao, and a small part of Yin Kuei's body directly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. What? Qi Yun's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect Ling Xiao's battle strength to be so terrifying. In his hands, Man Shan and Yin Kuei were so vulnerable. In just 2 moves, Man Shan and Yin Kuei were seriously injured. This battle strength made Qi Yun extremely fearful, because he could not do it at all. The people of the Wind Spirit tribe were also stunned. Then everyone instantly boiled with excitement. Ling Xiao's peerless demeanor, which suppressed the 2 high priests, Man Shan and Yin Kuei, was instantly imprinted in everyone's hearts, causing the entire Wind Spirit tribe to have a fanatical worship. In this world, the strong were always respected. At this moment, Fengji was incomparably glad that he brought Ling Xiao back to the Wind Spirit tribe, so that he could turn the tide at this critical moment. If it was not for Ling Xiao, he did not dare to imagine what would have happened to the Wind Spirit tribe today. It's your turn. Ling Xiao glanced at Qi Yun indifferently and said. Man Shan and Yin Kuei were already seriously injured by him, and there was no way for them to escape from his grasp. If it was not for the fact that he needed to interrogate some information from them, he was afraid that Ling Xiao would not have spared their lives at all. Although Qi Yun's cultivation had reached the complete divine spirit realm, in Ling Xiao's eyes he was not a threat. Boy, who are you? We are the people of dazzling Gold City's Peach Blossom Prince. If you dare to go against us, you are going against Peach Blossom Prince. Peach Blossom Prince will definitely not let you go. Chapter 1197. The dazzling Gold City was the largest city within a radius of 10 million miles. The surrounding tribes were nominally under the rule of the dazzling Gold City. He did not believe that this kid had not heard of the Peach Blossom Prince. Peach Blossom Prince? I've never heard of him. Ling Xiao shook his head and said. When Fengji and the others heard the Peach Blossom Prince, their expressions changed instantly. They even revealed an incomparably terrified expression. Prince Xiao, the Peach Blossom Prince, is the son of the dazzling Gold City's city lord. He is known as the Peach Blossom Prince because he likes peach blossoms. He is a famous genius in the dazzling Gold City, and is extremely powerful. Prince Xiao, you should let the three of them go. Otherwise, when the Peach Blossom Prince descends, nothing will survive. Fengji said anxiously. His entire body was trembling. It was obvious that the Peach Blossom Prince's name had frightened him. Far away from the Wind Spirit tribe, the handsome young man's expression changed instantly. This idiot actually exposed my name. He deserves to die. The handsome young man gritted his teeth and said. He was the Peach Blossom Prince. The reason why he did not appear personally was because he did not want to expose his identity. However, he did not expect that the idiot Qi Yun would be so afraid of death that he actually exposed his identity. Prince, when I make a move later, I will directly erase all of them. Naturally, no one will know about you. The scarred general said coldly. That's the only way. Uncle Lu, can you see that guy's origin? When did such a young genius appear in the dazzling Gold City? The Peach Blossom Prince looked at Ling Xiao in the distance and asked. I'm not sure. Just now he only used the pure power of his physical body and did not use any martial arts, so I can't see through his origin. However, it's very likely that he has achieved godhood through his physical body. The scarred general's eyes flashed as he said indifferently. Achieved godhood through his physical body. These words caused the Peach Blossom Prince's body to tremble. He revealed a look of disbelief. The War God Temple loves geniuses who have achieved godhood through their physical body the most. If this kid participates in the Great Void Trial, he will definitely be able to join the War God Temple. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. The champion of the Great Void Trial this time must be me. Let's see if I can subdue him later. If he doesn't listen to me, I can only kill him. The Peach Blossom Prince's eyes revealed a trace of viciousness. In the Wind Spirit tribe, Qi Yun saw the Wind Spirit tribe members' fear. He was extremely satisfied and sneered. Kid, if you don't want to die, get out of here. Otherwise, the Peach Blossom Prince will never let. Are you so sure that I'm afraid of that bullshit Peach Blossom, young master? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with mockery. What? Qi Yun couldn't wrap his head around it for a moment. Kings, gold's 1,000,000 gold. He is not godhood. Ling Xiao shook his head indifferently. A sharp light flashed in his eyes as he sent a punch towards Qi Yun. Ling Xiao had even slaughtered demon god King Bo Sun, let alone a mere Peach Blossom Prince. Blossom Prince Yun's prince. The dazzling fist prince swept across the sky like a dazzling meteor. Its speed was extremely fast. The unparalleled fist force enveloped the void in all directions, causing Qi Yun's expression to change drastically. Bastard, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Qi Yun was flustered and exasperated. He did not expect Ling Xiao to dare to attack him after hearing the Peach Blossom Prince's name. Red Cloud Divine Palm Kill. Qi Yun roared. Flames rose around his body. It was extremely hot. It was as if the surroundings were burning. He slapped Ling Xiao with his palm. The blazing flames surged, as if forming a vast sea of fire, wanting to envelop Ling Xiao and refine him. Qi Yun's divine red cloud palm was a powerful martial art that Qi Yun had obtained. It had reached the level of mid-grade divine level, and he had practiced it to perfection. He had once used Qi Yun's divine red cloud palm to refine a divine spirit of the same level. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely calm. There was no fluctuation in them. His fist, which was formed purely by his physical strength, rushed into the sea of fire and collided with Qi Yun. The golden divine light swept out in all directions. To Qi Yun's horror, the flames formed by the Qi Yun divine palm did not affect Ling Xiao at all. Instead, Ling Xiao's fist smashed the sea of flames into smithereens. The huge fist imprint suddenly imprinted on Qi Yun's chest and exploded with a loud bang. A huge bloody hole appeared on Qi Yun's chest. He flew out like a rag. He coughed out blood and his eyes were filled with horror. Kacha! Qi Yun's body fiercely smashed into the ground, smashing a human-shaped crater in the ground. Manshan, Yin Kuei and Qi Yun, the three high priests, were all severely injured. At this moment, the experts of the three tribes were all scared silly. The three deities of their tribes were so weak. Even High Priest Qi Yun could not withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. Who was this young man in white? Although Feng Zhi was afraid of the Peach Blossom Prince, he could not say much at this moment. After all, Ling Xiao had helped the Wind Spirit tribe. There was a trace of viciousness in his eyes. No matter what, he had to kill everyone today. He could not let any news leak out. Otherwise, the Peach Blossom young master would blame the Wind Spirit tribe, and all of them would die. One had to know that the Peach Blossom young master had massacred many villages and destroyed many tribes. It was unknown how many tribes had been destroyed by him. Tell me, who ordered you to attack the Wind Spirit tribe? Ling Xiao looked indifferently at Manshan, Yin Kuei and Qi Yun. He had thought that it was a personal grudge between the tribes. However, when Qi Yun mentioned the Peach Blossom Prince, Ling Xiao felt that this matter was not so simple. It was very likely that the Peach Blossom Prince had ordered it. Therefore, Ling Xiao had to figure out the conspiracy, especially since it involved the Wind Cloud platform and the disciple of the War God Temple. Manshan, Yin Kuei, and Qi Yun's faces were extremely ugly. At this moment, they even wanted to threaten Ling Xiao. However, when they met Ling Xiao's cold eyes, they swallowed the words that were about to reach their throats. They did not doubt that Ling Xiao would really kill them. No need to ask. I was the one who ordered them to come. However, I did not expect the three of them to be so useless. They can't even deal with a kid in the middle stage of the divine spirit realm. What a disappointment. At this moment, an indifferent and feminine voice sounded in the void. Chapter 1198. It was a handsome young man in a pink robe. He held a folding fan in his hand and exuded a strange fragrance. He looked extraordinary and had a feminine temperament. Behind him stood a middle-aged man in black armor with a scar on his face. His body was as straight as a sword and he was extraordinarily burly. He exuded a cold and murderous aura. The two of them were the Peach Blossom Prince and the Scarred General. You guys finally couldn't hold back. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and glanced at the Peach Blossom Prince. He was not surprised at all. After reaching the Triple God Realm, Ling Xiao's spiritual sense was extremely powerful. Although the Peach Blossom Prince and the Scarred General hid their auras, they did not expect that they would be exposed to Ling Xiao's spiritual sense. The reason why Ling Xiao kept Manshan, Yin Kuei, and Qi Yun alive was not only to interrogate them for information, but also to lure the two of them out. Prince, save us. This bastard doesn't respect you at all, and even threatened to kill you. Prince, please kill this bastard. Qi Yun and the other two were overjoyed when they saw the Peach Blossom Prince. Their eyes were filled with ecstasy. In their opinion, with the Peach Blossom Prince's arrival, their lives were saved. Peach Blossom Prince. He is the Peach Blossom Prince? It's over. The Peach Blossom Prince actually appeared. I'm afraid our Wind Spirit tribe is doomed. Why is the heavens so unfair to our Wind Spirit tribe? We didn't offend the Peach Blossom Prince at all. Why does he want to kill us? The entire wind spirit tribe, including Fengji and the others, had a look of despair in their eyes. The Peach Blossom Prince's fierce reputation was not only because of his methods, but also because of his powerful cultivation. It was said that the Peach Blossom Prince was less than 100 years old, and he had already cultivated to the complete divine spirit realm. If it was not for the Great Void Trial, he would have broken through to the true God realm. As for the scarred general behind Peach Blossom Prince, his name was Lu Tiansha. It was said that he was originally a general of a divine kingdom, but for some unknown reason, he had submitted himself to Dazzling Gold City, and became the right-hand man of Dazzling Gold City's city lord. Lu Tiansha was a true god expert. You discovered us long ago? Peach Blossom Young Master's eyes flashed. He looked at Ling Xiao with some surprise. He had a bad premonition. You want to deceive me with that crude breath concealment technique of yours? You are the so-called Peach Blossom Prince? Looking so effeminate, he really fits the name of Peach Blossom Young Master. Ling Xiao said indifferently. A noble son of a mere Dazzling Gold City actually dared to scheme against a disciple of the War God Temple. He was simply courting death. Ling Xiao even had a feeling that this Peach Blossom Prince should know the identity of the Wind Cloud platform. Otherwise, he would not have let the three trash come to the Wind Spirit tribe while he hid behind the scenes. If Peach Blossom Young Master really knew about it, then his sin was even more unforgivable. Brat, you're courting death. Peach Blossom Young Master's expression changed, and a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. The word sissy was his taboo. No one had ever dared to mention this word in front of him. Ling Xiao calling him a sissy instantly made him want to kill him. Although he was a little surprised that Ling Xiao had heavily injured Man Shan, Yin Kuei and Qi Yun, it was still normal for an expert whose body had reached the God realm to be able to do so. Peach Blossom Young Master believed that he could easily deal with Man Shan, Yin Kuei and Qi Yun. Moreover, Lu Tiansha was around. It was not difficult for him to kill a mere middle-stage divine spirit realm brat. Rumble. At this moment, a strange scene suddenly erupted on the altar. Feng Yuntai's body trembled, and his face was incomparably pale. He instantly flew down from the altar. Fengya, who was in the ancient cauldron, floated up. Her body was shining brightly, and there was a kind of green divine light flowing around her. It was like the astral wind above the 9 heavens, emitting an ancient and mysterious fluctuation. Above the firmament, streaks of lightning descended, emitting an incomparably vast fluctuation. It was incomparably powerful. That was the power of the God Tribulation. This meant that as long as Fengya passed the God Tribulation, she would be able to reach the divine spirit realm. Fengya is going to pass the tribulation and become a divine spirit? Haha. God bless my wind spirit tribe. Sister Fengya is so powerful. At this moment, everyone in the wind spirit tribe was in an uproar. Their attention was attracted by Fengya, and they had temporarily forgotten about Peach Blossom Young Master's ferocious might. Feng Yuntai stared at Fengya, who was on the altar, without blinking. His eyes were filled with excitement and anticipation. Green runes floated on Fengya's body. They were ancient and mysterious, and it caused her body to emit a strange fluctuation. She became increasingly ethereal, as if she would break through the sky at any moment. Because Feng Yuntai knew that Fengya's wind spirit physique was about to completely awaken. Moreover, there was a boundless battle intent within Fengya's body. It was vast and unparalleled, as if an ancient war god had awakened. It caused her to emit a dense and majestic energy fluctuation. This was the aura of the immortal battle physique. Although it was very weak, it was indeed the immortal battle physique. Feng Yuntai felt a little regretful. The power of the divine blood of the 4 spirits was still not strong enough. Therefore, Fengya did not completely cultivate the immortal battle physique. However, a trace of a seed was left behind. In the future, as long as Fengya joined the War God Temple and cultivated the martial arts of the War God Temple, that trace of a seed would easily grow into a towering tree. However, what made Feng Yuntai the most excited was that the wind spirit physique had finally awakened. The wind spirit physique was passed down by the ancestors of the wind spirit tribe. It was rumored that the ancestor of the wind spirit tribe was a saint who taught all living beings. He was extremely powerful and could control the power of the wind. However, countless years had passed, and the wind spirit physique was about to disappear from the memories of the wind spirit tribe. Even Feng Yuntai was unable to awaken the wind spirit physique. Now everyone saw hope on Fengya's body. Whoosh! Fengya flew into the sky. Lightning tribulation descended from the 9 heavens. It was like a roaring lightning dragon that contained terrifying power. At this moment, Fengya's dress was dyed green. Green light filled the air, and it was dazzling. Moreover, there were ancient runes flowing on it. She looked indifferent and gentle. Her appearance was absolutely beautiful, and her temperament was extraordinary. At this moment, the wind spirit constitution caused her entire body to emit a kind of strange spirituality. It was as if she was floating in the air, and was about to leave the dust behind. Only this young master is worthy of having such a beautiful woman. Peach Blossom young master thought to himself. His eyes were filled with passion. He did not stop Fengya. If Fengya could break through to the God Spirit realm, it would be even more useful to him. He might even be able to break through to the true God realm. Chapter 1199. Rumble. Bolts of lightning descended. There was a strange sharpness in Fengya's eyes. Her slender jade-like fingers slapped across the sky. The divine light around her was dazzling as she contended against the lightning tribulation above the void. Ling Xiao could feel that an ancient power was awakening in Fengya's body. If he didn't guess wrongly, that power was the so-called wind spirit constitution. It's a law that surpasses the divine realm, and contains some kind of Tao intent. It seems that there might really be a saint in the wind spirit tribe's ancestor. Ling Xiao sighed as a trace of understanding appeared in his eyes. Although the lightning tribulation above the 9 heavens was incomparably terrifying, it didn't cause the slightest harm to Fengya. Instead, it was absorbed by the power in her body, causing her wind spirit constitution to completely awaken. Seeing that Peach Blossom young master didn't make a move, Ling Xiao also chose to wait and see. Fengya didn't take too long to transcend the divine tribulation. Powerful bolts of lightning descended one after another, tempering Fengya's essence, energy, and spirit, causing the divine power in her body to be boundless and majestic. Furthermore, a powerful wind attribute law of nature erupted. Fengya walked the path of becoming a god using the divine power law. It was also the most common path of becoming a god in the divine realm. In addition, with the various preparations made by the wind cloud platform in advance, she quickly transcended the divine tribulation without any danger, and completely broke through to the divine realm. Rumble. A vast divine power spread out from Fengya's body. Powerful divine Tao law descended, causing flowers to fall from the sky. A mysterious phenomenon appeared around Fengya, making her look even more holy. Fengya's glabella shone brightly as the vast divine Tao law descended into her sea of consciousness, helping her condense a cyan divine spark. On the other hand, her body had been tempered by the divine Tao laws and transformed into a divine body, causing it to become even more crystalline and translucent. It was pure white like ivory, and it caused her entire body to carry an ethereal bearing. Fengya's gaze was incomparably calm. Her long cyan dress fluttered as she stood in the void. The divine Tao law around her was incomparably vast, forming a vast gale behind her that blew the forest in all directions. A moment later, the powerful divine power around Fengya slowly retracted. She also slowly floated down from the void, and then bowed toward the wind cloud platform. Her voice was incomparably ethereal and very pleasant to the ears. "Thank you, Master. Your disciple was fortunate enough to not disappoint you." Fengyan platform laughed and said, "Great. Little Ya, you've confirmed your Tao and become a deity. Even if Master dies now, I'll be able to rest in peace." Everyone in the Wind Spirit tribe was extremely excited. Fengya had proven her Tao and become a god. This was something that the entire Wind Spirit tribe should celebrate. However, when everyone noticed the Peach Blossom Prince, their eyes were filled with apprehension. Would he really let the Wind Spirit tribe go? Fengyan platform, this young master has to thank you for nurturing such an outstanding Fengya. To be able to affirm one's Tao and become a deity, one is qualified to become this young master's concubine. Old man, if you and Fengya are willing to acknowledge me as your master, I'll let the Wind Spirit tribe go. How about it? An ear-piercing voice rang out. Peach Blossom young master smiled coldly. His gaze landed on Fengya's body without concealing it. In particular, Fengya's towering peaks and slender thighs made his eyes burn with passion. Recognize you as my master? You think you're worthy? Feng Yuntai's eyes flashed as he stared at Peach Blossom Prince and sneered. Boom. A vast and powerful aura spread out from Feng Yuntai's body. It was an incomparably fierce battle intent. It was incomparably vast, as if it wanted to break through the 9 heavens and 10 earths and sweep across the 33 heavens. His eyes also became incomparably bright at this moment. His sharpness was revealed as his battle intent soared. Even the people of the Wind Spirit tribe were slightly stunned. In their memories, the high priest had always been incomparably gentle. Feng Yuntai, who was revealing his sharpness, seemed to have changed into a different person. However, such a Feng Yuntai also greatly increased their confidence, and the bloodthirst in their hearts was stimulated. Ling Xiao also nodded inwardly. This was the sharpness that a disciple of the War God Temple should have. He could also confirm that Feng Yuntai had cultivated the War God technique. That kind of pure War God energy could only be cultivated by the War God technique. Ling Xiao could also see that Feng Yuntai's current cultivation base was at the Great Circle of the Divine Spirit Realm. However, Feng Yuntai's body seemed to have suffered some kind of heavy injury, causing his small world to shatter. Ling Xiao guessed that Feng Yuntai's cultivation base was at least at the True God Realm, or even the Heavenly God Realm when he was at his peak. Such a disciple of the War God Temple had actually fallen to become the High Priest of the Wind Spirit tribe. There must be a lot of things that no one knew about. Feng Yuntai, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If you don't know what's good for you, then I'll kill everyone in the Wind Spirit tribe. Then Fengya will naturally belong to me. Peach Blossom young master's face was filled with killing intent. His eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Although Feng Yuntai was a disciple of the War God Temple, his cultivation base was only at the Great Circle of the Divine Spirit Realm. Moreover, he was like a lamp that had run out of oil. He didn't have much battle strength left. In Peach Blossom young master's opinion, it was simply a simple matter to kill Feng Yuntai. Peach Blossom young master Lu Wenqing? Back then, even your father didn't dare to be arrogant in front of me. Who do you think you are? Feng Yuntai sneered. His voice was oppressive and domineering. His body was straight, and his body had a domineering aura that looked down on the world. Little friend Xiaoling, are you a disciple of the War God Temple? I would like to ask you for a favor. Later, I will stop Peach Blossom young master and Lu Tiansha. Please take Fengya away. Fengya must not fall into their hands. The voice of the Wind Cloud platform was transmitted into Ling Xiao's consciousness with a hint of pleading. I'm not a disciple of the War God Temple yet. However, could it be that Elder Feng is a disciple of one of the 9 halls of the War God Temple? In your current state, I'm afraid that you won't be able to stop Peach Blossom young master and Lu Tiansha, right? I'm sorry, but I can't agree to your request. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and transmitted his voice to Feng Yuntai. You're not a disciple of the War God Temple? Then who are you? I am indeed a disciple of the War God Temple. However, if I fight with my life, I should be able to stop Peach Blossom young master and Lu Tiansha for a period of time. That's right, I shouldn't make things difficult for little friend Xiaoling. Little friend Xiaoling, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Feng Yuntai asked doubtfully. Then he smiled bitterly, and a trace of determination appeared in his eyes. Elder Feng, I haven't finished speaking. The reason why I can't agree to your request is that I don't think it's necessary. They're just 2 chickens and pottery dogs. Let's just kill them. Ling Xiao said faintly. What? Little friend Xiaoling, you're indeed bold. However, Peach Blossom young master and Lu Tiansha are extremely strong. They won't be easy to deal with. Ling Xiao's words shocked everyone on the Wind Cloud platform, but he shook his head with a bitter smile. He had seen Ling Xiao's combat strength. Although he was strong, he didn't think that Ling Xiao would be a match for Peach Blossom young master and Lu Tiansha. Old thing, you think you're worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as my father? You're courting death. When Peach Blossom Young Master heard Feng Yin Tai's words, his eyes flashed with murderous intent. The folding fan in his hand suddenly opened and he charged towards Feng Yin Tai. Chapter 1200. Whoosh. The Peach Blossom Young Master leaped over, looking extremely confident. He opened the fan in his hand, and there was a peach tree on it. The tree was filled with pink peach blossoms, each of them fresh and tender, looking very lifelike. Peach blossoms flew out from the fan one after another. They were silent, but a cold killing intent filled the air. In an instant, the entire wind cloud platform was shrouded. Peach Blossom Divine Technique? Feng Yun Platform's expression changed, and his gaze became serious. The reason why Lu Wenqing had the title of Peach Blossom Young Master was because he cultivated the Peach Blossom Divine Technique. This Peach Blossom Divine Technique was obtained by Lu Wenqing from an ancient relic. It contained the power of life and death, and could confuse people's minds. It was very powerful. Hence, when he saw the Peach Blossom Young Master using the Peach Blossom Divine Technique, Feng Yun Platform didn't dare to be careless, and similarly punched out. Gotcha! Feng Yun Platform's fist was incomparably ferocious, and there was black divine light gushing out. This was the War God King Fist, an ultimate skill that was compatible with the War God art. With one punch, there was an unstoppable power that could destroy heaven and earth. When the fist seal exploded, it could even shatter a mountain. However, the peach blossoms were incomparably mysterious. When Feng Yun Platform punched out, they actually floated and rotated in the air. With a very strange fluctuation, they instantly enveloped Feng Yun Platform. Feng Yun Platform was surrounded by the peach blossoms, and there was a fragrant wind blowing in his face. Feng Yun Platform felt dizzy, and immediately guarded his mind, blocking his five senses, not daring to be affected by the peach blossoms. Old thing, you should just die. The Peach Blossom Young Master sneered. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and he slammed his palm towards Feng Yun Platform. Although he was at the Great Perfection Divine Spirit Realm like Feng Yun Platform, he didn't put Feng Yun Platform in his eyes at all. Even if Feng Yun Platform was a disciple of the War God Shrine. Want to kill me? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Feng Yun Platform's face was incomparably pale, but his eyes were as sharp as a blade. His fist was incomparably ferocious, but there was a primitive fluctuation. Although it looked very slow, it contained a mysterious power, as if the power of heaven and earth was being moved. Rumble. The fist and the palm collided, causing the void to tremble slightly. Dazzling divine light exploded in the void. The unparalleled fist print swept out in all directions, as if to destroy all the peach blossom petals in the surroundings. Peach Blossom Divine Technique? Interesting. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could feel that the Peach Blossom Divine Technique that Peach Blossom Prince was using contained the mysterious power of the law. The peach blossoms were formed by the law. They seemed to stick to the storm platform, constantly corroding the divine power in his body. Under such circumstances, an ordinary expert of the divine spirit realm would have been defeated long ago. However, Ling Xiao could tell that the wind cloud platform was extraordinary. The wind cloud platform's war god power had reached the point where yin and yang were in harmony. His fists even had the power of Tai Chi. It was perfect, powerful and ferocious, sweeping through everything. What? Peach Blossom Prince's expression changed slightly. He could feel that the Peach Blossom divine power in his body had begun to become chaotic as the wind cloud platform's fist moved in all directions. Even the peach blossom petals were dancing in the void, violently trembling, as if they would be crushed into dust by the wind cloud platform's fist. Is this the martial arts of the War God Shrine? I must obtain the martial arts of the War God Shrine. He must die. Peach Blossom Prince's eyes were burning with greed. You're courting death. Seeing that Peach Blossom Prince was at a disadvantage, Lu Tiansha's eyes flashed with killing intent. He threw a punch towards the wind cloud platform. Lu Tiansha's fist print was extremely ferocious. It contained a cold and crazy killing intent, as if it was going to destroy the wind cloud platform. Your opponent is me. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He naturally wouldn't let Lu Tiansha harm the wind cloud platform. He threw a punch towards Lu Tiansha. Rumble. The blazing fist print swept across the sky like a blazing sun rising in the sky. It emitted blazing rays of light, so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. This punch was grand and vast, but the terrifying power contained within it made Lu Tiansha's face change. 9 killing divine fist. Lu Tiansha shouted. Divine light surged behind him, and killing intent rose around him. He threw out 9 punches in an instant. The power of the 9 punches seemed to stack together, causing his aura to soar. It was like a raging sea, making the power of this punch extremely terrifying. Kacha. The 2 fists collided. Golden and black divine light collided in the void. It was like a blazing thunderbolt had exploded. Vast divine power shrouded the sky above the wind spirit tribe. Ling Xiao stood in the void. His white robe was whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered. His body didn't move an inch, but the 9 killing intents were shattered by his punch. Lu Tiansha only felt the terror of Ling Xiao's punch when he faced it. He flew back a few hundred feet, and his arm seemed to have lost all feeling. It had become numb. How can the body of a god be so strong? Lu Tiansha's eyes were filled with disbelief. He was one realm higher than Ling Xiao. Whether it was his divine power or the laws, he should be stronger than Ling Xiao. Logically speaking, he should be able to easily suppress Ling Xiao. However, the physical strength that Ling Xiao displayed was too terrifying. Even he found it difficult to resist. Whoosh! However, Ling Xiao didn't give him a chance to think. He leaped into the sky, turned into a golden divine light, and threw a punch at Lu Tiansha. Rumble! Above Ling Xiao's fist, there seemed to be 4 different types of energy exploding. Instantly he shot up into the sky. Around him, the images of a divine dragon, a true phoenix, a white tiger, and a black tortoise appeared. His fist contained the power of chaos and suppressed Lu Tiansha. 4 elephants sky-striking style. This was a martial art that Ling Xiao had created by fusing the 4 great secret techniques. It could already be considered as a top-notch divine technique. At this moment, it had triggered the power of the laws of the divine world to erupt, and it possessed an almost invincible might. That chaotic punch was like the pressure of chaos. It contained an unparalleled sharpness. Lu Tiansha's expression changed drastically, and his gaze became extremely solemn. 9 killing intense, heaven-piercing saber. Lu Tiansha roared, and the black divine light around him suddenly exploded. It was as if a black curtain had covered the sky. Behind Lu Tiansha, streaks of killing intense rose. Finally, they fused together and turned into a pitch-black saber radiance. It was so sharp that it seemed like it could even cut the sky apart. Chapter 1201. Break. Ling Xiao's eyes were calm and indifferent as he spat out a simple word. Boom. The chaotic fist seal went against the current and instantly blasted on the black blade light, causing the surrounding sky to tremble. The huge blade light exploded in an instant. Under the pressure of Ling Xiao's punch, the broken blades flew back and landed on Lu Tiansha's body. Lu Tiansha's body shook violently as he was dyed red with blood. Then he smashed into a huge rock far away, smashing it into smithereens. What? Peach Blossom Prince and Feng Yin Platform were stunned. Neither of them had expected that Lu Tiansha, a true god expert, would be defeated by Ling Xiao just like that. Moreover, he had survived hundreds of battles. His killing intent was monstrous, far surpassing that of ordinary true gods. The 2 of them felt as though they were dreaming. At this moment, Feng Yin Platform finally understood Ling Xiao's words. He really did have invincible strength. Feng Yin Platform was stunned and did not know whether to be surprised or happy. Xiao Ling is actually so strong. Feng Ya's mouth was wide open, and her eyes were filled with surprise. The entire Wind Spirit tribe cheered. The simple people worshipped the strong the most, and Ling Xiao had used his invincible strength to win their respect. Peach Blossom Prince's face was extremely ugly and he suddenly had a bad feeling. Lu Tiansha was stronger than him, but he was not Ling Xiao's opponent. If he continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would be doomed. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Since he had chosen to attack, he naturally wouldn't give his opponent any chance to turn the tables. Therefore, he didn't give Lu Tiansha any chance to retaliate. Like a golden ray of light, he shot towards Lu Tiansha and slashed down with his palm. Ling Zhao's physical body was not weaker than the power of a divine weapon. He had unparalleled divine power, and was extremely powerful. Hence, when he slashed down with his blade, it was as though he wanted to cut Lu Tiansha in half. Lu Tiansha's face changed and he instantly flew away. Boom! The huge blade light slashed on the ground, and caused the ground to shake violently. Then, a blade mark that was hundreds of feet long appeared. You want to leave? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as if he had already predicted Lu Tiansha's actions. With a flash of his feet, he instantly appeared a few dozen feet away and kicked Lu Tiansha's chest. Bang! Lu Tiansha pushed his arms forward in an attempt to block Ling Zhao's kick. However, he was unable to completely neutralize Ling Zhao's terrifying godly power. He was sent flying by Ling Zhao's kick and landed on the ground. Taking advantage of Lu Tiansha's loss of balance, Ling Zhao appeared behind him and grabbed his legs. Unparalleled divine power erupted from his arms. Puff! Lu Tiansha was actually torn in half by Ling Zhao. Fresh blood splattered everywhere, making him look extremely pitiful. Whoosh! Lu Tiansha's primordial spirit and godhead were very decisive. They instantly abandoned the divine body and escaped. They appeared beside Peach Blossom Prince and with a flash of light, they condensed another corporeal body. However, the aura of this body was clearly much weaker. Young master, this kid's cultivation is too strong. This subordinate is no match for him. Let's leave quickly. Lu Tiansha hurriedly said to Peach Blossom Prince. His eyes were filled with deep fear. Peach Blossom Prince's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Whether it was the Wind Cloud platform or elegance, they were originally his prey. However, he did not expect Ling Zhao to suddenly appear and disrupt his plans. Xiao Ling, right? Very good. This young master will remember you. When you fall into this young master's hands, this young master will definitely let you know what it means to beg for death. Peach Blossom Prince looked at Ling Zhao with incomparable hatred. In an instant he fled with Lu Tiansha. Where do you think you are going? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply as he instantly used a teleportation secret skill to chase after them. Ling Zhao naturally knew that letting the tiger return to the mountain would cause endless trouble in the future. Moreover, Peach Blossom Prince had the backing of dazzling Gold City. To be able to become a city master, he was at least a heavenly god expert. With Ling Zhao's current cultivation, he naturally could not fight against a heavenly god expert. Therefore, no matter what, he could not let Peach Blossom Prince and Lu Tiansha go. There was a trace of decisiveness in the Wind Cloud platform's eyes. He said to Elegance and Fengji, Xiaoya Fengji, quickly lead everyone to retreat into the Taihuang mountain range. I will go and help young Master Xiao. After saying that, the Wind Cloud platform instantly turned into a stream of light and followed Ling Zhao. Xiaoya, what should we do now? When Fengji saw that even the Wind Cloud platform was chasing after Peach Blossom Prince, he immediately knew that the situation was about to change. He immediately looked at Elegance and asked. After all, Elegance had broken through to the divine realm. Logically speaking, she should be the future high priest of the Wind Spirit tribe. Listen to Master, we will leave now. Although Elegance was a little worried, she knew that she had to make a decision at this moment. This concerned the lives of the entire Wind Spirit tribe. Therefore, under the mobilization of Fengji and Elegance, the entire Wind Spirit tribe began to pack their luggage. They quickly left the Wind Spirit tribe and headed towards the Taihuang mountain range. The Taihuang mountain range was tens of millions of miles wide and was filled with danger. There were even many savage mutants. Even heavenly gods did not dare to enter the depths of the Taihuang mountain range. One could imagine that if Ling Zhao and the Wind Cloud platform killed Peach Blossom Prince, Dazzling Gold City would definitely be enraged. At that time, they would definitely vent their anger on the Wind Spirit tribe. Peach Blossom Prince and Lu Tiansha were desperately escaping in front. Feeling that Ling Zhao was relentlessly chasing after them, Peach Blossom Prince's face was extremely ugly. Damn Xiao Ling, I will definitely ask father to kill him. Peach Blossom Prince growled. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. His plan had gone down the drain because of Ling Zhao. Now that Ling Xiao was relentlessly chasing after him, he was infuriated. However, Ling Xiao's speed was getting faster and faster. In the divine realm, Ling Xiao possessed extreme speed. Even Lu Tiansha, who was a true god expert, was not as fast as Ling Xiao. Prince, I will stop him. You go first. Lu Tiansha's eyes were filled with determination. He sent Peach Blossom Prince flying with a slap, and then turned around and rushed towards Ling Xiao. Uncle Lu. Peach Blossom Prince's eyes instantly turned red. Back then, Lu Tiansha was saved by the dazzling Gold City's lord. Therefore, he was loyal to the Lu family. At this moment, he was even willing to cover for Peach Blossom Prince. One could imagine that Lu Tiansha would only end up dead. Chapter 1202. If you want to kill the Peach Blossom Prince, you'll have to do it over my dead body. Lu Tiansha's eyes flashed with a hint of madness. His blood and qi surged up and started to burn. Light gushed out from his glabella, and even his godhead seemed to be burning at this moment. His aura began to skyrocket, and waves of murderous aura filled the air, charging toward Ling Xiao. With just you? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke indifferently. Ling Xiao admired Lu Tiansha for helping the Peach Blossom Prince escape without fear of death. However, even if he admired him, Ling Xiao still wanted to kill him. Boom. Ling Xiao's body shone brightly as the golden light illuminated the sky. He mobilized the powerful divine power in his body, and threw a punch towards Lu Tiansha. The blazing fist print was unparalleled, and contained the power to destroy everything. However, Lu Tiansha didn't even try to dodge. Instead, he charged straight at Ling Xiao. A black battle saber appeared in his hand, and a baleful aura emanated from it as he slashed at Ling Xiao. Lu Tiansha wanted to die together with Ling Xiao. Hence, he was willing to pay any price to injure Ling Xiao, and create a chance for the Peach Blossom Prince to escape. Boom. Lu Tiansha's attack arrived first. It was so fast that it instantly cleaved Ling Xiao's body in half. An afterimage? Lu Tiansha felt that something was amiss as his face changed. He then realized that it was not Ling Xiao but an afterimage of Ling Xiao. Just as Lu Tiansha was about to perish together with Ling Xiao used a teleportation technique, and left behind an afterimage to fool Lu Tiansha's eyes. Boom. At this moment, Ling Xiao's punch landed on Lu Tiansha's chest. The punch was extremely ferocious. It instantly entered Lu Tiansha's body, and spread throughout his body like a spider web. Lu Tiansha's body exploded into a bloody mist. I can't accept this. Lu Tiansha's primordial spirit let out a crazy roar. He did not expect that his desperate attack would not cause any damage to Ling Xiao. Rumble. His godhead and primordial spirit suddenly swelled at this moment, erupting with a terrifying and monstrous power. He actually wanted to self-destruct. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. In the end, he gave up on the idea of using the wordless heavenly book to devour Lu Tiansha's primordial spirit and godhead. He immediately used the teleportation secret technique to teleport away. Rumble. How terrifying was the self-destruction of a true god. A huge mountain below was blown to smithereens, and a huge crater appeared on the ground. Incomparable divine power swept out in all directions, and the dazzling divine light formed a huge mushroom cloud in the void. What a loyal and righteous man. Fengyan platform had also caught up. Seeing that Lu Tiansha was willing to sacrifice himself to stop Ling Xiao, he couldn't help but sigh. Ling Xiao wanted to continue chasing after Peach Blossom Prince, but he realized that he had lost track of Peach Blossom Prince. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Young Master Xiao, stop chasing. Peach Blossom Young Master should have a lot of protective treasures and escape treasures on him. He should have already left. Let's go. Fengyan platform said to Ling Xiao. All right. I'll let him off easy this time. A sharp glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes as he nodded. Ling Xiao and Fengyan platform turned and flew towards Grand Emperor Mountain, preparing to meet up with the Wind Spirit tribe there. Old Feng, you're a disciple of War God Hall? How did you become the Grand Priest of Wind Spirit tribe? Ling Xiao looked at Fengyan platform and asked curiously. Young Master Xiao is right. I'm indeed a disciple of War God Hall. Moreover, I'm the leader of the 9 halls, War God Hall's disciple. Feng Yun platform didn't hide anything, and even said proudly to Ling Xiao. A million years ago, the old Hall Master of War God Hall died in battle, and Red Dragon Hall Master took over the position. Coincidentally, the demon race invaded, and the Great Divine Demon War started again. In order to defend against the demon race, Red Dragon Hall Master left the divine world and went to the secular world. Originally, we all thought that Red Dragon Hall Master would return soon, but we didn't expect him to leave for a million years. In this million years, due to Red Dragon Hall Master's departure, War God Hall was without a leader. Some died in battle, and some joined other halls. War God Hall was suppressed. For example, I didn't want to join Thunder Hall, but I was assassinated by a despicable person from Thunder Hall. I had no choice but to leave War God Hall and return to Wind Spirit Tribe. Feng Yun Platform's voice was filled with vicissitudes as he explained the situation of War God Hall. After he finished, Feng Yun Platform looked at Ling Xiao doubtfully and asked, "Young Master Xiao, I can feel the aura of the Aries art on your body. Why do you say that you're not a disciple of War God Hall?" Only disciples of War God Hall could cultivate the Aries art. It definitely couldn't be spread out. If outsiders dared to cultivate the Aries art and were discovered, they would only die. I accidentally obtained the inheritance of a senior from War God Hall and cultivated the Aries art. I'm planning to participate in the Great Void Trial and enter War God College. Ling Xiao glanced at Feng Yun Platform and smiled. Although he felt that Feng Yun Platform's words were true, he didn't intend to reveal his identity so easily. Everything could wait until he entered War God Hall. Young Master Zhao's talent is unparalleled, and his battle strength is exceptional. If you participate in the Great Void Trial, you will definitely be able to enter War God College. At that time, it won't be impossible for you to become a true disciple of War God Hall. Feng Yun Platform smiled. He could also tell that Ling Xiao's physical body had reached godhood. Such talent was most suitable for cultivating the Aries art. However, there weren't many in War God College who reached godhood with their physical body. Although Feng Yun Platform had left War God Hall, he still considered himself a disciple of War God Hall. Seeing that Ling Xiao was willing to join War God Hall, he was sincerely happy. Is the Great Void Trial still in the Great Void Secret Realm this time? I'm afraid there's no entrance to the Supreme Emperor Sky region. If I want to participate in the Great Void Trial, it seems like I have to return to the Supreme Emperor Sky region as soon as possible. Ling Xiao glanced at Feng Yun Platform and asked. That's right. This time, the Great Void Trial will still be held in the Great Void Secret Realm. It shouldn't be much different from the previous ones. However, the Great Void Trial this time is a great trial that occurs once every 10,000 years. It's said that not only the 5 great colleges will be recruiting disciples, but many sects will be recruiting disciples as well. Therefore, the Supreme Emperor Sky region will also open a trial passage. It's in Dazzling Gold City. Feng Yun Platform said to Ling Xiao. In Dazzling Gold City? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look. Peach Blossom Prince was the son of Dazzling Gold City's city lord. He didn't expect the Great Void Trial passage to be in Dazzling Gold City. Ling Xiao had a premonition that he would meet Peach Blossom Prince again in the Great Void Trial this time. Chapter 1203. Devil World. This was a floating ancient continent surrounded by dense devil chi. The continent was vast, and there were many powerful figures roaming around. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Severed limbs and corpses could be seen everywhere. The state of death was extremely miserable. On top of a mountain, a young man in a black robe stood. He had sharp eyebrows and sharp eyes. His temperament was sharp, and he was tall and handsome. His whole body was exuding an invincible aura. There seemed to be 2 vortexes in his eyes. There was a mysterious light that shot out from them. It was breathtaking. Beside him stood an honest-looking fatty. His eyes were small, and there was a hint of craftiness in them from time to time. His eyes were filled with excitement as he looked around. Master, I didn't expect that the Emperor Xian would send us to the God-slaying convention. that is held once every 10,000 years in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Nation. As long as we can stand out in the God-slaying convention, we will be able to join the 10 sects of the devil race. The honest-looking fatty said excitedly. These two were Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai. Although they were separated from Dark Firmament's main body and the others when they were ambushed by the God Realm's big shots, the Emperor had saved them and sent Dark Firmament and Zhu Ganglai to the Devil World. This was a very mysterious continent. When they arrived, there were some ignorant people who wanted to attack Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai. Naturally, they were killed by them. After interrogating their primordial spirits, Zhu Ganglai found out that this was the God-slaying convention held by the Heavenly Devil Ancient Nation. The purpose of the God-slaying convention was to select the strongest genius disciples of the Heavenly Devil Ancient Nation to join the 10 sects of the Devil World. The 10 sects of the Devil World would only recruit disciples once every 10,000 years. Therefore, the God-slaying convention was also held once every 10,000 years. However, the Heavenly Devil Ancient Nation was not strong. They only had 10 spots. Therefore, if one wanted to join the 10 sects of the Devil World, they had to be in the top 10 in the God-slaying convention. God-slaying convention? The rules are simple and crude. I like it. It's nothing more than killing all those idiots. The Heavenly Devil Ancient Nation does not need 10 people. I alone am enough. Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of cruelty. The God-slaying convention of the Heavenly Devil Ancient Empire had attracted hundreds of thousands of experts from the Devil Clan. However, the rules of the God-slaying convention were very cruel. Those who participated in the God-slaying convention would have to kill each other on the continent. The remaining 10 would be the victors of the God-slaying convention, and they would be qualified to become disciples of the 10 sects of the Devil World. This kind of rule was that there were no rules. It was very bloody and cruel. However, the reproduction ability of the devil race was very strong. There were many experts in the Devil World. Therefore, even if the probability was only 1 in 100,000, it still attracted countless experts to participate in the God-slaying convention. Zhu Ganglai said excitedly. Then, as if he had thought of something, he glanced at Dark Ling Xiao and said, 2. We can't fall too far behind. In the future world, my body will be the God Emperor of the Divine World, and I will be the Demon Emperor of this vast Devil World. So, those who block me will die. Darkness Ling Xiao stretched out his arms as if he wanted to embrace the vast continent in front of him. Rumble. Black devil light flickered around his body, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Zhu Ganglai looked at Darkness Ling Xiao's figure with excitement in his eyes. Then, kill. I will use blood and flesh to pave the way for me to become the Demon Emperor. Murderous intent flashed in Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes. He leaped down from the top of the mountain in an instant. Murderous intent surged around him as he threw a punch at the 3 demon gods below the mountain. Kill. Those 3 demon gods were only at the early stage of the divine spirit realm. When they saw dark soaring cloud rushing toward them, not only did they not show the slightest bit of fear, but their eyes were also filled with crazy killing intent. They all rushed toward dark soaring cloud. The demon gods hiding in the surroundings seemed to have been alerted by the fluctuations of the battle. They all rushed toward the battlefield. In this place there was only killing, killing, and killing. A crazy battle broke out. In the Grand Emperor mountain range, Darkness Ling Xiao and the Storm Platform caught up with the people of the Wind Spirit tribe. Their group traveled at full speed until they reached the depths of the Taihuang mountain range. Then they found a huge hidden valley and hid there. Darkness Ling Xiao and the Storm Platform set up a powerful array in the valley, enveloping the entire mountain range. The Grand Emperor mountain range was filled with danger and was extremely vast. Even if the city lord of the dazzling gold city were to personally take action, it would be difficult to find them in a short period of time. Moreover, the Peach Blossom Prince was not dead. The city lord of the dazzling gold city would not make a big fuss over the Wind Spirit tribe. There were still 2 months before the Great Void Trial began. Since there was a passage in the dazzling gold city, they had to find a way to enter the dazzling gold city. After all, this place was only a few 100,000 miles away from the dazzling gold city. However, it was more than 10 million miles away from the Grand Heaven region. If an accident happened along the way, they would miss the Great Void Trial. Darkness Ling Xiao had obtained the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God, and was already one of the 9 halls of the War God Temple. Therefore, no matter what, Darkness Ling Xiao had to pass the Great Void Trial and enter the War God Temple. Ling Xiao temporarily stayed in the Wind Spirit tribe and prepared to go into seclusion for a period of time. The current Ling Xiao had imprinted his primordial spirit in the God world and condensed his godhood. He had completely achieved the 3-god realm and was considered a true living being in the God world. As for the 6 true gods that he had killed in the lower realm, Zhang Su, Bai Wuliang and Qi Kongjue, Ling Xiao had refined their godhoods and also obtained part of the martial arts inheritance in their primordial spirits. However, what made Ling Xiao feel helpless was that the forces behind the 6 true gods were extremely powerful. They were all immortal sacred grounds or divine kingdoms with sages. Therefore, they all had the inheritance of saint techniques. However, it was a pity that the 6 true gods were too weak and were not qualified to inherit saint techniques. They only had some god-level martial arts that Ling Xiao did not care about. In order to hide his identity, Ling Xiao could not use the wordless heavenly book and the power of secret techniques. However, the Ares technique, Ares King Fist and 4 Elephants Sky Striking style were all martial arts that Ling Xiao could use. In Ling Xiao's opinion, the Ares King Fist and 4 Elephants Sky Striking style had the potential to reach the level of saint techniques. They would become stronger as Ling Xiao's strength increased. Chapter 1204. Duguqiubai had attached his primordial spirit to the longevity grass and studied heaven and earth for hundreds of thousands of years to comprehend the power of life and death. Only then did he comprehend the destruction sword principle and the life sword principle. It could be said that Duguqiubai had already established the foundation of the divine path. As long as he pressed forward, it wouldn't take long for him to become a saint. However, Ling Xiao was gradually able to exert part of the strength of the destruction sword principle and the life sword principle by combining the 3 sword arts with them. Therefore, Ling Xiao didn't care about ordinary divine level martial arts, unless it was a peerless divine technique or a supreme saint technique. However, Ling Xiao was pleasantly surprised by Zhang Su, Bai Wuliang and Qi Kongjue. Skyfall Hammer, Star Picking Hand, Void Quake. It's actually the 3 nameless fist arts? Ling Xiao's gaze shook and revealed a hint of surprise. When he fought with Zhang Su, he had seen Zhang Su use the Skyfall Hammer. That kind of unrivaled fist intent was like a celestial emperor, pulling up mountains. Even Ling Xiao's 4 Elephants Sky Striking style could not resist it. It was deeply imprinted in his mind. At that time, he felt that it was a peerless fist art. The vast fist intent was actually very similar to the fist intent of the great emperor that Ling Xiao encountered in the Divine Tribulation. It turned out that when Zhang Su, Bai Wuliang, and Qi Kongjue came to the mortal world, they had obtained the 3 moves in an ancient relic. They were the Skyfall Hammer, the Star Picking Hand and the Void Quake. In the end, they were obtained by Zhang Su, Bai Wuliang, and Qi Kongjue respectively. However, Zhang Su had only scratched the surface of the Skyfall Hammer. The Star Picking Hand and the Void Quake were even more difficult. Bai Wuliang and Qi Kongjue had never tried to cultivate them. These 3 moves are simply peerless martial arts tailor-made for divine body. No wonder they couldn't cultivate them. It seems that I've really picked up a treasure this time. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. Although Ling Xiao didn't obtain the true meaning of these 3 styles of Sanzhou, he felt that he would definitely be able to master these 3 styles of Sanzhou after obtaining the cultivation method. In addition, I can also integrate the Qilin secret technique into the 5 elements sky ceiling style. The 5 elements sky ceiling style will definitely be extremely powerful. However, I don't have much time right now, so I'd better cultivate these 3 styles first. After I enter the War God Shrine, I'll start fusing the 5 elements heaven ceiling style. Ling Xiao thought to himself. In fact, Duguqiubai's Destruction Sword Way and Life Sword Way were supreme techniques that led directly to the divine path. If Ling Xiao could give up his current martial arts and focus on these 2 sword ways, he would definitely be able to reach the divine path in the future. To many people in the god realm, this was simply an irresistible temptation. One had to know that many godly kings could not even touch the shadow of the divine path, even after wasting countless years. These two-sword Daos were definitely supreme treasures. However, Ling Xiao's will was firm. He was determined to carve out his own path, and that was to learn from all the martial arts in the world. He was going to become invincible. This was Ling Xiao's ambition. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the many secret skills in the wordless heavenly book, the destruction sword principle, or the life sword principle, they were all treated by Ling Xiao as a means to strengthen himself and not as his foundation. Just like how he was currently cultivating the three major techniques, he also wanted to learn that kind of supreme fist intent from them. Sky-seizing hammer, derived from the fist intent that could survey the heavens and destroy the universe. With the body as the foundation, one can't cultivate it without great willpower and wisdom. Ling Xiao stood on top of the mountain. The sea of clouds lingered around him, and the mountain wind whistled. He crossed his arms in a circle, as if he was embracing the heaven and earth. He clenched his fists, and his entire body merged with the heaven and earth. There was a kind of boundless concept that pervaded the air. Rumble. Thunder rumbled, and his fists slowly pushed towards the sea of clouds in front of him. It seemed to be extremely slow, but there was a kind of unparalleled power that pervaded the air. Ling Xiao's fist intent was like a bow that was ready but not released. It stirred up the clouds in the surroundings, and formed all kinds of mysterious phenomena in his surroundings. For a moment his fists stirred up wind and thunder, and the void shook. It was extremely powerful. The star-seizing hand was derived from the fist intent that could traverse the heaven and earth, pluck the stars and grab the moon. When cultivated to the extreme, it could even capture the primordial spirit of a person, and capture the soul of a person. Across layers of void, the fist would arrive with a thought, and destroy everything. As for the void quake, it took one's own small world and merged it with the greater heaven and earth. Using one's own world's power to stir up the endless void, it formed a vast fist print that destroyed everything in an instant. It was invincible. The fist intent of these three techniques was incomparably vast. Ling Xiao didn't obtain the true meaning of the inheritance, and only used the cultivation method recorded in the records to activate it. There was a kind of incomparably vast energy fluctuation that was terrifying to the extreme. For a moment, Ling Xiao was immersed in these three techniques, and forgot about everything. What kind of martial art is this? Could it be the legendary Saint technique? It's actually so powerful. In the Wind Spirit tribe, Feng Yuntai and Feng Ye raised their heads to look at Ling Xiao's figure on the mountain peak. They felt the invincible fist intent, and their eyes were filled with shock. The fist intent was too vast, and it shook the entire Feng Yuntai. One must know that the War God King fist was already a peerless divine martial art, second only to the God King's martial art. However, the Feng Yuntai felt that even the God King's martial art was inferior to the fist technique that Ling Xiao was cultivating. This kid isn't someone to be trifled with. If he enters the War God Temple, and chooses the War God Temple, maybe the War God Temple can be revived in his hands? Thinking of this, the Feng Yuntai trembled. He was deeply indebted to the Red Dragon Temple Master, so even if he left the War God Temple, it was his lifelong wish to revive the War God Temple's strength. Now that he saw such a peerless jade like Ling Xiao, his heart was filled with excitement. However, the War God Temple had completely fallen to the bottom of the 9 temples. Was Ling Xiao really willing to become a disciple of the War God Temple? The Feng Yuntai was a little nervous. Feng Ye's beautiful eyes were also filled with admiration, and her heart was filled with admiration. She also treated Ling Xiao as her savior. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, the Wind Spirit tribe would have been completely erased from the divine realm. So when she saw Ling Xiao's peerless demeanor, she couldn't help but blush. Ling Xiao had been cultivating at the top of the mountain for 2 months. In these 2 months, this mountain range was shrouded in clouds and thunder rumbled. Moreover, it emitted a kind of ancient and vast wave, scaring the demonic beasts in the surrounding mountains to flee. However, Ling Xiao knew that the 3 major techniques were very powerful, so he suppressed most of the fist intent, and didn't want to cause too much of a commotion. The entire Wind Spirit tribe, especially those young men and women, practically treated Ling Xiao as an object of fanatical worship. Every day, many people would come to the mountain peak to watch Ling Xiao practice, wanting to learn some peerless martial arts. And Ling Xiao was completely unaware of all these. Chapter 1205. Rumble. The aura around his body slowly converged, but the vast fist intent still swept away the surrounding sea of clouds, revealing a clear sky. Golden sunlight shone on Ling Xiao's body, making him look like a peerless divine king. He was awe-inspiring and exuded an invincible aura. Huff. These 3 moves are indeed powerful. But fortunately, I have the foundation of a divine body, so I've barely reached the entry level. Ling Xiao took a deep breath, and like a sword of qi, he shot out hundreds of feet away. His eyes revealed a trace of emotion as he softly muttered to himself. His gains in these 2 months were huge. He had already reached the entry level of the Sky-Seizing Hammer, Star-Picking Hand, and Void Quake. With these 3 moves, Ling Xiao's current combat strength had greatly increased. In this great void trial, no matter how strong the opponent was, Ling Xiao would not be afraid. The Origin Demon Bone avatar is already participating in the God-Slaying Convention, and will soon enter the 10 sects of the demon world. I have to work hard too. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. He had already sensed Dark Ling Xiao's whereabouts. What made him feel relieved was that Dark Ling Xiao and Zhu Ganglai were safe. From the looks of it, Shuewei, Old Goat, and the others should also be safe. But Ling Xiao believed that as long as they were in the divine world, he would eventually find them. Ling Xiao floated down from the top of the mountain. Young Master Xiao, you're out? Congratulations on your great improvement in cultivation. Fengya's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Thank you, I've made some progress. I'm afraid the Great Void Trial is about to begin, right? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. At this moment, Feng Yuntai also walked over and smiled. Young Master Xiao, you've come out at the right time. If you were any later, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to make it in time for the Great Void Trial. It's said that this time, the disciples of the War God Temple will come to Dazzling Gold City to preside over the opening of the Great Void Trial. There's less than a month left. Young Master Xiao, this time, Little Yu will follow you to the Great Void Secret Realm. I hope you can take care of her. Elder Feng, don't worry. I will. Elder Feng, how are your injuries? Ling Xiao nodded. He glanced at Feng Yuntai and felt that although Feng Yuntai's aura was stable, his lifespan was about to end. I'm fine. To be able to see Xiaoye enter the War God Shrine, I can die in peace. Feng Yuntai said in a carefree manner. Fengya said anxiously, Master, you won't die. I heard that there are divine herbs in the Great Void Secret Realm that can extend one's lifespan. I will help you find the divine herbs and extend your lifespan. Ah. Then I'll be basking in Xiaoye's glory. Feng Yuntai chuckled, his eyes filled with indifference. Elder Feng, I plan to go to the Dazzling Gold City now to purchase some things that we need for the Great Void Trial. Do you want to come with us? Ling Xiao looked at the storm platform and asked. I'm not going. Young Master Xiao can just bring Little Ye along. I believe that with Young Master Xiao around, we will definitely be able to pass the Great Void Trial. However, Young Master Xiao must be careful of Peach Blossom Young Master. After all, that is his home ground. If he discovers you, I'm afraid there will be a lot of trouble. The Wind Cloud platform reminded. Peach Blossom Young Master? Don't worry, Elder Feng. I'll be careful. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He could restrain and change his own aura. Even changing his appearance for Fengya was not difficult. Hence, he was not worried about being seen through by Peach Blossom Young Master. Young Master Xiao, after the Great Void Trial, if you are able to enter Ares College, you must be wary of Sky Hall and Thunder Hall. As for Wind Hall and Yin Hall, you can be on good terms with them. As if he was worried, Feng Yuntai looked at Ling Xiao and reminded him. Thank you for your advice, Elder Feng. I'll remember it. Ling Xiao nodded and said. He naturally understood Feng Yuntai's words. Back then, when he was dealing with Battle Hall, Sky Hall and Thunder Hall were the happiest. Furthermore, these 2 halls were extremely powerful. If Ling Xiao were to inherit the position of Battle Hall Master, the first to oppose him would be Sky Hall and Thunder Hall. Following which Ling Xiao and Fengya bade farewell to the Wind Cloud platform and the Wind Spirit tribe. They flew into the air and left the Grand Emperor mountain range, rushing towards the dazzling gold city. Ling Xiao used the sky-devouring mystic technique to restrain his aura and change the ripples of his primordial spirit. He turned into his appearance when he was reborn in the Changsun sect. He looked very handsome and wore a white robe. He looked like a young man with a bright smile. Fengya did not ask Ling Xiao for help. Feng Yuntai had already prepared an aura-concealing pill for her. It could change her appearance and aura for a month. As long as she did not fight with others, no one would be able to see through her true appearance. After all, Fengya's appearance was extremely beautiful. Wherever she went, she would encounter a lot of trouble. After consuming the aura-concealing pill, her aura became very ordinary. Her radiant appearance was also much more restrained. Although she was still pretty, she was also much more normal. Let's go. Ling Xiao smiled at Fengya. Golden light spread out from his feet, and he shot into the distance like a golden lightning. Fengya also laughed lightly and used her god power to chase after him. Dazzling Gold City was a majestic city. Dazzling Gold City was located on top of Dazzling Gold Mountain. It was said that Dazzling Gold Mountain was originally 100,000 feet tall. Later on, a saint cut down 90,000 feet and used Dazzling Gold Mountain as the foundation to create this huge majestic city. Dazzling Gold City was emitting a dark golden radiance. It was built using dazzling gold stone, a specialty of Dazzling Gold Mountain. Furthermore, powerful runes were engraved on it. It was said that the powerful rune formation in Dazzling Gold City was something that even ordinary saints would find hard to destroy. Dazzling Gold City occupied an area of over 10,000 miles. There were many palaces in the city. Pavilions were scattered in disorder. Waterfalls flowed with springs and ancient vine cliffs. It looked peaceful and mysterious. Powerful figures rode on divine steeds that were several hundred feet long as they patrolled around Dazzling Gold City. All of them had powerful auras and were all godly experts. The huge gate of Dazzling Gold City was actually over 10,000 feet tall. It was like the mouth of a huge beast that swallowed and spat out countless people every day. The population of Dazzling Gold City was over 10 million people. At the center of Dazzling Gold City, there was a group of dazzling palaces. This was the residence of the Dazzling Gold City Lord. Divine light lingered around this place and auspicious vapors rose. It was like the palace of a celestial emperor and was very imposing. Peach Blossom Young Master stood in a palace and held a folding fan in his hand. In front of him was a general in black armor, who was kneeling on one knee. He had a long saber on his back and his entire body was emitting a powerful baleful aura. The Great Void Trial is about to begin. That kid and Fengya will definitely come to Dazzling Gold City. This is their appearance and aura. You must guard the city gate strictly. If you encounter these two people, capture them and bring them to me. Chapter 1206. Yes, young master. The black-armored general bowed and took the image recording stone from Peach Blossom Young Master's hands. It was imprinted with Ling Xiao and Fengya's appearance and aura. Kid, if you know what's good for you, you'd better run far away. Otherwise, if you dare to appear in Dazzling Gold City, I'll definitely let you die without a burial ground and avenge Uncle Lu. Peach Blossom Young Master's eyes flashed with killing intent as he muttered to himself. After escaping from the Wind Spirit tribe, he had regarded it as a great humiliation. Originally, he wanted to send people to exterminate the entire Wind Spirit tribe. However, after thinking about it, the Wind Spirit tribe had probably escaped long ago. The opening of the Great Void Trial gave him a premonition in his heart. That kid and Fengya would definitely participate in the Great Void Trial. At that time, it would be the best opportunity to take revenge. Ling Xiao and Fengya's speed wasn't considered fast. In 10 days, they had traveled hundreds of thousands of miles, and were getting closer and closer to Dazzling Gold City. Young Master Xiao, after crossing the drifting cloud mountain in front of us and crossing thousands of miles of wasteland, we'll be able to see Dazzling Gold City. In the sky, Ling Xiao and Fengya were walking side by side. Clouds and mist lingered around them as the wind blew fiercely. Fengya pointed at a mountain in front of them that was shrouded in clouds and mist. Drifting Cloud Mountain? What a good name. Ling Xiao nodded. The drifting cloud mountain in front of them looked majestic and majestic. The clouds and mist above the mountain range were like a vast sea of clouds that constantly flowed and multiplied. The drifting cloud mountain was indeed worthy of its name. Fellow Taoist, please wait. Suddenly, a clear voice sounded behind Ling Xiao and Fengya. However, Ling Xiao felt a chill run down his spine, as if he was being stared at by some prehistoric giant beast. An extremely uncomfortable feeling enveloped his entire body. Ling Xiao suddenly turned around, his eyes revealing a trace of incomparable vigilance and vigilance. In the distance, a stream of light flew over and landed in front of Ling Xiao and Fengya. It was an incomparably ugly youth wearing a loose and tattered Taoist robe. He looked to be around 16 or 17 years old, and his cultivation was at the early stage of the divine spirit realm. It could be said that Ling Xiao had never seen such an ugly person before. However, there was a sense of pride between the youth's brows, and he seemed incomparably confident. But for some reason, when the young man stood in front of Ling Xiao felt as if he was facing an ancient beast. He didn't know where that discomfort came from, but the young man didn't seem to have any ill intentions towards him. That was because Ling Xiao had practiced Destiny's Secret. He was very sensitive to xenogenic powers and rules. He was like elegance who couldn't feel anything. Ling Xiao knew that there was something strange about the young man in front of him. He was definitely not simple. Ling Xiao suppressed the discomfort in his heart and asked, "Fellow Taoist, what can I do for you?" You are handsome. You have an impressive appearance. You have extraordinary talent. You should help each other. The young Taoist spoke very intimately to Ling Xiao as if they were close friends. At first, Ling Xiao could still maintain a polite smile. However, after hearing Yi Liangqin's words, the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth couldn't help but twitch. This guy dared to say that he was handsome. He had an impressive appearance. And were not handsome. However, this guy felt very good about himself. Even Fengya couldn't bear to look at him. It was an eyesore. Ling Xiao. He resisted the urge to expose this guy and said, "I am Long Outyen. I am going to participate in the Great Void Trials. Brother Yi is indeed a man of striking appearance and extraordinary handsomeness. This humble one humbly admits defeat, and is far from being able to compare with Brother Yi." Long Outyen? Good name. Brother Long, you have good taste. Haha. Although I am handsome, I am only a little better than Brother Long. Why don't we go together? When Yi Liangqin heard Ling Xiao's words, his eyes lit up. He had a good impression of Ling Xiao. All right. Ling Xiao rubbed his nose and nodded with a bitter smile. Ling Xiao didn't know if this guy really didn't know. Ling Xiao was mocking him, but this guy really thought that Ling Xiao was praising him. It was the first time Ling Xiao met someone who didn't know his place. No, Zhao Ritian might be on par with this guy. But even though Zhao Ritian was cocky, his looks could be considered handsome and extraordinary. As for this guy, he was simply too horrible to look at. Yi Liangqin didn't know what Ling Xiao was thinking. Instead, he flew with Ling Xiao to Drifting Cloud Mountain. He acted as if he knew Ling Xiao very well. He was like a piece of dogskin plaster. Brother Long, I heard that Drifting Cloud Mountain is a place where wind and lightning gather. People are often struck by lightning here. You and I must be careful. Yi Liangqin looked at Drifting Cloud Mountain and said to Ling Xiao with concern. A place where wind and lightning gather? Don't worry. With Brother Yi around, even if there is divine lightning, it won't strike me. Ling Xiao smiled weirdly. Brother Long is right. I, Yi Liangqin, will definitely protect you. Yi Liangqin felt very good about himself. He smiled proudly. Ling Xiao was on the verge of bursting into tears. What he meant was that even if there was divine lightning, Yi Liangqin would be the first to be struck by it. However, Yi Liangqin did not understand what Ling Xiao meant at all. Ling Xiao couldn't help but curse in his heart. Fengya covered her face and smiled. She felt that this Yi Liangqin was very funny. Yi Liangqin looked at Fengya and was a little dazed. He said to Ling Xiao, Brother Long, is this your sister? She is indeed a peerless beauty. How old is she now? What is her name? Are you betrothed to someone? Yi Liangchen looked like a pig. He almost said, "Look at me and let me be your brother-in-law." Fengya was still smiling. However, when she heard Yi Liangchen's words, her face turned red. She glared at Yi Liangchen and turned her head away. Cough, cough. Brother Yi, her name is Fengya. She is my good friend. She is not my sister. I don't know about the rest. You can ask her yourself. Although Ling Xiao was a little annoyed, he couldn't vent his anger in front of this guy. He could only persuade him nicely. Boom. At this moment, the sky above drifting Cloud Mountain was suddenly filled with lightning. A bolt of lightning struck down from the sky like a long snake. It was extremely fast and struck Ling Xiao's head directly. Damn, that idiot was right. I am really struck by lightning. Ling Xiao thought in his mind and was instantly drowned by the lightning. Chapter 1207. Logically speaking, Ling Xiao's spiritual sense was extremely shocking. Not to mention Lei Ting. Even if a real god or heaven god who had concealed their aura were to launch a sneak attack on him, they shouldn't be able to escape his spiritual sense. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's spiritual sense seemed to be covered by a layer of shadow. It became chaotic, and he was directly struck by the lightning. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a golden glow. His body was extremely strong. The lightning that was strong enough to kill a divine spirit realm expert contained an endless amount of destructive power. However, it wasn't able to penetrate Ling Xiao's body. Instead, Ling Xiao's hair stood up from the lightning. His body was in extreme pain, and he grimaced in pain. It's so fucking painful. Ling Xiao immediately glared at Yi Liangchen. It was this guy's crow's beak that caused Ling Xiao to be struck by lightning. Ling Xiao felt as if there were 10,000 divine beasts running through his heart. It was extremely fucked up. Brother Long, this seems to be the flowing lightning of the divine world. It's rare to see it on a normal day. It contains pure lightning energy. You're really lucky. Yi Liangchen said to Ling Xiao with a smile. He seemed to be gloating over Ling Xiao's misfortune. Thank you very much. Ling Xiao glared at Yi Liangchen and instantly increased his speed. He only wanted to leave drifting Cloud Mountain as soon as possible. Brother Long, slow down. I heard that in this drifting Cloud Mountain, there is a white snake that has cultivated to the heavenly god realm. Its strength is incomparably powerful. These clouds are all spat out by that white snake. However, it only wakes up once every 1,000 years. Every time it wakes up, it will devour many powerful demon beasts. You should be careful. If the white snake wakes up, it will be troublesome. Yi Liangchen said as he chased after Ling Xiao. A heavenly god realm white snake? Let's leave quickly. When Ling Xiao heard Yi Liangchen's words, he suddenly felt a chill on his back. He had a bad premonition in his heart. He quickly wanted to leave drifting Cloud Mountain. Rumble. However, at this moment, the sky above drifting Cloud Mountain was filled with lightning. Bolts of lightning danced wildly like silver snakes. The clouds were misty and the demonic aura was rolling. Even drifting Cloud Mountain began to tremble violently. It was as if a powerful demonic beast was about to fly out of drifting Cloud Mountain. Damn. Could it be that this guy was right? Ling Xiao was stunned. He stared at the turbulent clouds, and a thought appeared in his mind. Roar. An ancient and powerful roar resounded. Endless clouds and mist rose. Suddenly, a huge white snake that was thousands of feet long rushed out of the drifting Cloud Mountain. The white snake looked crystal clear, and its scales emitted a white jade-like luster. The snake's head was held high, and its eyes contained a trace of anger. Its long tongue flickered, and a majestic white mist spread out from its body. There was also a white horn on the top of the white snake's head, emitting streaks of lightning. It was actually the flowing cloud heavenly thunder that had just struck Ling Xiao. Its entire body exuded a powerful aura, causing the entire drifting Cloud Mountain to tremble violently. The white snake glared at Ling Xiao, its eyes filled with anger. A ball of lightning slowly formed in its mouth. It. To it is too. Ling Xiao whispered to Yi Liangchen. His lips were dry. The cultivation level of the white snake had reached the great circle of the heavenly god realm. Ling Xiao was no match for it. However, he could not figure out why the white snake stared at him angrily. Brother Long, there's something I forgot to tell you. This white snake likes to eat the cloud lightning. I'm afraid it thinks that you stole its cloud lightning. That's why it's so hostile towards you. Let's run. Yi Liangchen whispered. He was a little guilty. Swoosh. Yi Liangchen turned around and grabbed Fengya's hand. He took out a mysterious talisman and slapped it on his body. Then he turned into a ray of light and shot into the distance. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. Ling Xiao was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. All of this was caused by Yi Liangchen, that jinx. But in the end he just ran away? Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. He wanted to grab Yi Liangchen and beat him up. However, he did not have time to think about it. The lightning ball in the white snake's mouth was flashing with destructive lightning. It shot towards Ling Xiao. Brother Snake, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Ling Xiao revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. He cupped his hands towards White Snake, then similarly fled into the distance as if there was oil on his feet. However, the speed of the lightning ball was even faster than Ling Xiao's speed. In an instant it landed on his body. Rumble. Terrifying lightning exploded. The destructive energy in the lightning ball hit Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's body trembled when the lightning ball hit him. He tasted something sweet in his throat. His organs were severely injured. However, Ling Xiao used the energy in the lightning ball to teleport away from the drifting cloud mountain. He flew towards the dazzling gold city. The drifting cloud mountain was very close to the dazzling gold city. Although the white snake was very powerful, it would not dare to enter the dazzling gold city. However, Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This white snake's strength was truly incomparably terrifying. A mere lightning ball was almost enough to severely injure her. Ling Xiao's speed was so fast that even the white snake was stunned. By the time the white snake reacted and wanted to chase after him, Ling Xiao had already left the drifting cloud mountain and was flying towards the dazzling gold city. Bastard, I'll let you off easy. Don't let me see you again. The white snake let out a clear and melodious voice as it spoke with some resentment. Buzz. The white snake's body flashed and turned into a woman in a white dress. She stood at the top of the drifting cloud mountain. She looked like a fairy with an extraordinary temperament. She was extremely beautiful. She stared at Ling Xiao's back. There was a trace of anger in her beautiful eyes. Just now, she had managed to trigger a flowing heavenly thunder with great difficulty. Just as she was about to condense a thunder Dao martial skill and awaken from her deep slumber, the flowing heavenly thunder had deviated from its course and struck Ling Xiao instead. The Great Void Secret Realm is about to open. The Thunder Dragon Grass should be maturing soon. I hope I can use the power of the Thunder Dragon Grass to break through to the Divine King Realm. The white snake's eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. White clouds surged around her body, and she disappeared from the top of the drifting cloud mountain. Ling Xiao ran for tens of thousands of miles before he caught up with Yi Liangchen and Fengya. The white snake did not chase after him. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he saw Yi Liangchen, he was furious. Chapter 1208. Get lost. Yi Liangchen, you're a jinx. I've been tricked by you. Xiaoya, come here quickly. Stay away from this guy. Be careful not to be infected by his bad luck. Ling Xiao could not help but curse. Brother Long, don't be angry. I promise that everything will be fine. If something happens again, let a knife fall from the sky and kill me. Yi Liangchen swore sincerely when he saw that Ling Xiao was angry. Whoosh. However, at this moment, a ray of light flashed in the sky. In an instant, a blazing blade aura that contained unparalleled sharpness slashed towards Ling Xiao. The blade aura was extremely fast. It was only when it was about to hit Ling Xiao's body that Ling Xiao reacted and retreated instantly. Bang! The blade aura landed on the ground and left a deep mark on the ground. Rocks flew everywhere, and the ground shook. Ling Xiao's expression changed involuntarily. The blade aura contained within the blade aura was extremely terrifying. If it hit Ling Xiao, It would probably be like the white snake's lightning ball. It would instantly injure Ling Xiao severely. Ling Xiao looked at Yi Liangchen and his body trembled. This guy was really a jinx. He really had to stay far away from him in the future. Otherwise, he would not know when he would be tricked by him. Yi Liangchen looked at Ling Xiao innocently. In the sky, two terrifying figures were fighting. It was a young swordsman in a black robe and an old man with white hair. Both of them were in the heavenly god realm. Their strength was unparalleled. At this moment, the battle was extremely intense. It's the heartless swordsman and the black-hearted old man? Why are they fighting in dazzling Gold City? Yi Liangchen looked at the two figures in the sky and muttered to himself in confusion. Who are these two guys? Ling Xiao looked at them deeply. The blade aura just now was from the heartless swordsman. However, in their eyes, Ling Xiao and the other two were like ants. They did not put them in their eyes. As they fought fiercely, they headed towards dazzling Gold City. The heartless swordsman and the black-hearted old man are both independent cultivators. They are both righteous and evil existences. In dazzling Gold City they are quite famous. Many divine nations and holy lands want to recruit them. In the end, they were all rejected by them. Both of them were veteran heavenly gods. It was likely that the great void mystic realm had attracted them here. Scram. You scared me to death. Why didn't the heavens strike them to death? Yi Liangchen said angrily. Although he swore he was shocked when he saw the saber coming down on Ling Xiao. Therefore he did not like the two of them. Rumble. However, as soon as Yi Liangchen finished speaking, the sky in the distance was covered with dark clouds. Black thunderbolts struck towards heartless swordsman and heartless old man. The bolts of lightning that danced wildly contained an incomparably terrifying destructive force, causing Ling Xiao and Feng Ye's scalps to turn numb. Fuck, who the hell are you? Isn't this even more powerful than absolute command? Ling Xiao and Feng Ye stayed far away from Yi Liangchen. Their faces were filled with vigilance and shock. Along the way, Ling Xiao finally witnessed the power of Yi Liangchen's mouth. Whatever he said would come true. No one was spared. This was no longer a jinx. This was simply the embodiment of misfortune. Could this be the legendary saintly physique of misfortune? Ling Xiao's body trembled. He suddenly thought of a certain physique in the legends. The legendary saintly physique of misfortune was the embodiment of misfortune. It dominated the power of misfortune between heaven and earth. It could be said that it was a jinx. Wherever it went, it would bring disaster. However, the so-called saintly physique of misfortune only appeared in ancient legends. Even the Scarlet Dragon War God's memory did not recall the existence of the saintly physique of misfortune in the divine realm. Ling Xiao now felt that Yi Liangchen should be the so-called saintly physique of misfortune. After all, this guy was too terrifying. I wonder if the secret skill of destiny can resolve this guy's misfortune? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Although his secret skill of destiny was incomplete, and he had only comprehended the surface, it had already displayed an extremely magical effect. At the very least, Ling Xiao's spiritual sense was very strong. He could foresee danger and mess up his own aura. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao slowly circulated the secret skill of destiny. Suddenly, a mysterious aura flowed in his body. The shadow that shrouded his heart instantly disappeared without a trace. Ling Xiao only felt that his whole body was comfortable. He did not feel that gloomy feeling anymore. Ling Xiao was more and more certain that his body must have been contaminated by something unclean. The culprit was this bastard Yi Liangchen. Brother Long, I also do not know what is going on. However, the old man told me that I am the child of destiny. I am destined to become the ruler of this area and dominate the world. Therefore no one can hurt me. Yi Liangchen said innocently. However, as he spoke, he began to show off. He was very proud of himself. After getting rid of the misfortune on his body, Ling Xiao's mind changed. This bastard Yi Liangchen was simply a killing machine. Even the gods could not resist the misfortune that he released. Perhaps even the divine king could not resist the misfortune that he released. Yi Liangchen's cultivation was only at the divine spirit realm. Once this guy grew to the divine king realm, wouldn't even saints have to retreat? Not only could Yi Liangchen not let this guy go, but he also had to firmly tie him down. Once he met an enemy that he could not fight against, he would immediately close the door and release the dog. No, close the door and release Yi Liangchen. Thinking of this scene, Ling Xiao could not help but smile. Anyway, he had the secret skill of destiny. He could resist Yi Liangchen's saint body of misfortune. The others would probably suffer. Brother Long, what are you smiling about? Why do I feel that your smile is so perverted and evil? Yi Liangchen looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously and said, Nothing. I just suddenly realized that Brother Yi has an imposing appearance and is extraordinarily handsome. If you participate in the Great Void Trial, you will definitely attract many beauties to throw themselves at you. At that time, I might even be able to bask in your glory. I have decided that I will participate in the Great Void Trial with Brother Yi. At that time, we will join the War God Temple together and dominate the world. Wouldn't that be great? Ling Xiao said in a seductive tone as if he was abducting an ignorant girl. Join the Aries College? Aren't there 5 big colleges? Why do you want to join the Aries College? I heard that the Imperial College is filled with beautiful goddesses. I think I should join the Imperial College. Yi Liangchen's eyes lit up when he heard about beauties. He said to Ling Xiao, The Imperial College? Brother Yi, you don't know. The Imperial College is filled with a group of cold and uninteresting people. There is no meaning in joining the Imperial College. As for the Aries College, there are all kinds of beauties. Brother Yi, you will definitely be able to broaden your horizons. Ling Xiao tried his best to persuade him. Really? Yi Liangchen was indeed tempted. Of course. I will definitely not lie to you. Let's go, we will go to the dazzling gold city to take a look. Who knows? We might be able to meet the girl you like. Chapter 1209. Fengya couldn't bear to look at them. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao's heroic image, she would have thought that Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen were 2 hooligans. However, Fengya was smart. She guessed that Ling Xiao must have taken a fancy to Yi Liangchen's natural body. In the end, Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen were like good brothers. Soon, they flew towards dazzling gold city with their arms around each other's shoulders. Not long after Ling Xiao and the other 2 left, Heartless Swordsman, the black-hearted old man, escaped from the lightning while cursing. Both of them secretly cursed their bad luck. They didn't know what had happened, but they were actually struck by lightning. If they were seen by others, how were they going to survive? Therefore, the 2 of them didn't have any intention to fight. They also flew towards Dazzling Gold City. Dazzling Gold City was built on Dazzling Gold Mountain. It looked majestic and extraordinary. It emitted an ancient and vigorous aura. It was dazzling with gold and jade. It was very mysterious. Ling Xiao also praised it in his heart. Compared to Dazzling Gold City, the so-called huge cities in the War God world were like the corners of the countryside. There were thousands of cities like Dazzling Gold City in the entire Supreme Emperor Sky region. They were as bright as the stars in the sky. In the legends, the capital cities of the divine nations were all heavenly cities. They floated above the 9 heavens. They were eternal and mysterious. Ling Xiao's horizons were broadened. Yi Liangchen was also a country bumpkin who came out for the first time. He was also very surprised. Outside Dazzling Gold City, there were countless experts in full armor. They all had powerful auras. They were all true God realm experts. Their gazes were piercingly cold. There was also a heavenly God realm general on the city gate tower. He had an extraordinary aura. He looked at the passers-by indifferently. It was as if he wanted to find something. Ling Xiao knew that there were countless eyes in Dazzling Gold City. Among them, the Peach Blossom young master was waiting for him to walk into a trap. However, Ling Xiao was very confident in his aura-concealing technique. Therefore, he entered Dazzling Gold City with Yi Liangchen and Fengya. Once they entered the Dazzling Gold City, Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen discovered many youngsters with powerful auras. Each and every one of them had a confident expression on their faces. They were at least at the Supreme Being realm. However, most of them were Divine Spirit realm experts. These were all experts who were preparing to participate in the Great Void Trial. Ever since they heard that the Dazzling Gold City had opened the Great Void Trial's passage, many young experts from the surrounding big cities had come. They all wanted to pass the Great Void Trial. and join the 5 great academies. The reputation of the 5 great academies was well known even in the entire divine realm. Dazzling Gold City is indeed a majestic city. I'm afraid that even a divine king wouldn't be able to take down this huge city. Ling Xiao sighed softly as he looked at the prosperous scene before him. That's right. This is much better than our mountain. Brother Long, there are so many beauties here. Do you think they're looking at me? Yi Liangchen looked around, and his eyes lit up. Especially when he saw those scantily clad and graceful women, he could not take his eyes off them. He looked like a pig. Where did this country bumpkin come from? You want to participate in the Great Void Trial? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? An ear-piercing voice rang out, causing Yi Liangchen to glare angrily. It was a young man wearing a brocade robe. There were 2 guards following behind him. Each of them had an extraordinary aura. The young man in the brocade robe had an arrogant expression on his face. When he walked past Ling Xiao, he happened to hear the conversation between Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen. Yi Liangchen's face immediately darkened. He stared at the young man in the brocade robe and said, "Where did this little brat come from? You haven't even grown your hair yet, and you dare to behave atrociously in front of me. Yi Liangchen? If you're itching for a beating, I don't mind playing with you. TSK Country Bumpkin. With your weak cultivation, if it wasn't for the fact that fighting is prohibited in the Dazzling Gold City, do you believe that I won't beat you up until your mother doesn't recognize you?" The young man in the brocade robe sneered. He had an arrogant expression on his face as he looked up at the sky. However, he did have the qualifications to be arrogant. He looked young, but his cultivation was already at the late stage of the divine spirit realm. He was indeed much stronger than Yi Liangchen, who was at the early stage of the divine spirit realm. Furthermore, those 2 guards of his were both true God realm powerhouses. Little brat, let me tell you, don't act tough. If you act tough, you'll be struck by lightning. Yi Liangchen glared at the young man in the brocade robe and said, "What a joke. Even if I act tough, what can you do to me? A country bumpkin will always be a country bumpkin. Go back to your mountain and eat dirt." The young man in the brocade robe sneered. He turned around and was about to leave. He was in a bad mood today. That was why he couldn't help but mock Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen when he heard what they said. Now that he had vented his anger, he was about to turn around and leave. Crack. However, who would have thought that there would be a sudden clap of thunder in the sky? A bolt of lightning fell from the heavens and struck the young man in the brocade robe's head. He was instantly in a tragic situation. Although the bolt of lightning didn't injure him severely, he instantly felt dizzy. His hair stood on end and smoke came out of his head. He was in an extremely sorry state. "Ah, I'm right. Don't act tough. If you act tough, you'll be struck by lightning. Little brat, be careful when you walk in the future. If you offend me, Yi Liangchen, you'll be punished by the heavens. Even the heavens can't stand it." Yi Liangchen said with a smug smile. Ling Xiao and Fengya had a strange look in their eyes. After they heard Yi Liangchen's words, they consciously distanced themselves from the young man in the brocade robe, so that they wouldn't be implicated. As expected, the young man in the brocade robe was struck by lightning. After that, Ling Xiao gave Yi Liangchen and Fengya a look. The 3 of them immediately ran away. The surrounding onlookers burst into laughter, their eyes filled with mockery. "Don't act tough. If you act tough, you'll be struck by lightning. Do you feel good now?" "Huh. I'm dying of laughter. That Yi Liangchen is really awesome. His words are like the law. He must be bluffing. It must be a coincidence. Hee hee, even if it's a coincidence, I'm afraid that this brat is going to become famous." The young man in the brocade robe flew into a rage when he heard the crowd's harsh words. "Bastard, go after them. Let's see where those 3 fellows are staying. This young master will definitely not let those 3 fellows off." The young man in the brocade robe gritted his teeth and said. His eyes were filled with shame and anger. In an instant, he ran away with the 2 guards in a sorry state. "Yi Liangchen, you're really good." Ling Xiao looked at Yi Liangchen speechlessly and gave him a big compliment. Ling Xiao had never admired anyone in his life. However, he was really impressed by Yi Liangchen today. He was like the son of the heavens. Anyone who met him would have to kneel down. That's right. I have 100 ways to kill him. He's just a small fry. It's not worth it. Yi Liangchen said with a smug smile. Clang. At this moment, a crisp sound was heard. It instantly spread to the surroundings and attracted Ling Xiao and Yi Liangchen's attention. A burly general in armor was standing on a high platform. A light flashed in his hand and a few scrolls appeared. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.